live. Hopefully we got audio. Hoping we got audio. Welcome everyone. Dave here with Affordable Door and Gate. I hope you are doing great. So I just want to jump on and say hello. See how everybody's doing. It's been one of those days. It's been a busy day. If anybody can let me know, make sure audio is doing okay. And if you're just jumping on or you come through or all that good stuff, don't forget, please hit the like button. This helps wake up the algos, brings more like-minded people in, which is great. Also, I was figuring if you guys, feel free. Let me know what you need help with. If you have questions, let me know. Hit me up in the email. You can always ask on the comments here. That's why I basically do the lives, is to collaborate so we can talk about situations, issues, problems, creative ideas, all that good stuff. So you're more welcome. I didn't really bring up a subject for tonight, except that it's getting close. We're getting closer, a little closer and closer to spring. Mr. Evans in the house. Evan, I was just thinking about, I was wondering what is in the pipeline, my friend. You got anything coming up? Anything on order? All that good stuff. Ooh, right here. Just finished another spring change. Awesome. So glad to hear that. That's awesome. Were we 5 Mile famous, or are we a long distant loser on it? Sky, I was just thinking about you too. I was out washing, playing with the hose, and I was thinking about that Ranger. Danger Ranger. I was thinking, man, I was like, that's a nice little truck, man. Every time I see Mr. Caleb and his Ranger, I think about Sky. I think about that nice looking truck. I gotta find a way. I can't find. I'm struggling. I got small truck syndrome right now. Oh man, it's like it's like you make it work. Now, if I was pulling like a scissor lift or something like that, no. But I love the little truck, man. I love it. I love that I can reach over and I can I don't have to like climb in it ever. Everything is just so portable. It's great, but the organization is lacking, and I'm not quite sure what to do for a good organization. I do have a little toolbox, but I use the truck so universal, like. Sometimes I'm just hauling all kinds of stuff. It can be anywhere from kids to material to lumber to you name it. So I kind of been deviating tools. It's like tools in, tools out, kind of like back in the old days when I first started with my old personal truck. I'm struggling. I'm like right there. I could do it. I could just go get another service van, but I'm like, you got to climb in it. I don't know anything that's good. You got to try to find something that's kind of rust free up in Michigan. Got to load it. You got to plate it. You got to insure it. And then you got to work it. Hey, we got 2 likes. Thank you guys for hitting the like button while you're here. So change Rusty. I was thinking about Rusty too, because Rusty, I am not sure, but you mentioned possibly Jeannie has a direct couple opener. And if you come up with that information, you let me know, because I was just talking about it with Cap the other day. And the ones I modified, I guess, up at this one job that was a little bit far away. Shouldn't have been doing that. I've told you guys before, the spindles break off. I guess they made little baskets. They made little nets for them to catch, because a few of them come down. Luckily, never struck anybody. So yeah, but they've all been changed out, but they still think they need the nets. We did it pretty much almost at cost, just to be nice. So let me. Oh, there's the new cat. Kitty, come here. This little dude back here, he was saved from a cemetery. The kids found him up in a cemetery. Cannot believe it. Up by deer camp. And he is a character. Don't mind me. I'm just messing around here for a second. Here we go. I think we're doing good. Think we're doing good. And thank you guys for all the comments and the likes. I will be checking them out in just a minute. Thought the cat was a girl. It's a boy. It has been. It is. He's been neutered. Cheers. That's right, Sky. Cheers. The old cup's getting pretty rough. She almost looks dirty. I got stickered. I gotta rip these stickers off. It's been washed, but you know, Sai. You ever see Sai? Is it Sai? Right, Sai from Duck Dynasty. I always had a special favorite cup. That's what this has turned into. It's my special favorite cup, but it's rough. I kind of forget because I go to public places and I bring it and I'm like, oh, my man, my cup is looking. I shouldn't dry. I should be using this cup. Evan's guy says this was that one that was 2 minutes from my house. Nice. 5 Mile Famous. Love it. That's awesome. That is awesome. Anything else in the pipeline, Evan? You got something down, another, one lined up or anything, or anything been hitting for you, kind of working better than others? Google, Facebook. You know what I always wanted to do? I never did it. I thought about it. I still might. Is I always wanted to get a sign, and like how the homeless people sit in the corner, and they're begging for money and stuff. I always wanted to be like, I don't want your money. I want your business. And, have business cards and like, maybe like a kiddo with me or something just to, like hand out. I just always thought it'd be kind of cool. I bet, you never know. The media might like that. The old news station. Haven't got around to it yet. Evan says, if you drive a big truck, people think your equipment is small. I finally got a comment. We actually just got one. Me and Mr. Caleb were at a job doing the gate. So it's been boring stuff lately, gate stuff. And the guy come out and he's like, oh man, he's like, they don't give you trucks. And I said, no. I said, we're kind of the overflow. I said, we just drive our personal, and it actually worked great. I don't know if I think I got pictures of it. So maybe I'll try to put them up somehow. But we got both the trucks, tailgates down, one worked good. One was the work platform and they're the right height too. You know what I mean? And the other one's got the tools. So it works pretty good. But it's weird. It's like what I've noticed, just my opinion, is like, it just makes you kind of have to concentrate harder. You know what I mean? You got to come up with in my opinion, you got to have a better list, dedication, commitment, because you find a way to make it fit, right? When you got just more room, it's like my uncle always told me, right? My uncle, he always just said, Dave, he says, the more room you got, he says, the more you'll just fill it up. And I think that's very true because I've gotten bigger houses, I've had bigger garages, and they just fill up with stuff, or they fill up with other people's stuff, or it's always like, it's just never enough, is it? And it's just, I think that's just the way it's going to be, you just more room, more you'll fill it up. Rusty says, yes, Dave. Got back to the U.S., which I'm glad. I'm glad you made it. Everything went safe. Still got all your limbs. Luckily, no plane accidents. Woo, been a lot of those seem like lately. Last night, I will talk to him next week when I go pick up parts. Appreciate it. Like I said, I'm just really surprised. Popcorn. Terror cat. Nothing lined up right now. If you ever think of it too, Evan, send me some pictures. What you're doing with what in the flipjack are you doing, kitty? Send me some pictures of the SUV. I always like it. I always like sending them, showing Caleb and stuff like that. It inspires those young bucks. You know what I mean? That you can do it. You can do it. You can do it with a 5-gallon bucket if you have to. You just got to be creative. Right here. Lined up. Nothing lined up. I was just listening to like a podcast. I think what was it? March and April. Must be March and April is kind of when the tax stuff comes. So, like I said, sometimes you'll see like a whoop, you'll get that 3%ers that instead of buying like a car or something else, they'll put that money out there. Hey, we got some money. Let's finally get the garage door fixed or replaced or get that broken spring. It's been like that or something. So you might get a little whoop. We just can't we can't break out of the colder weather. We're not super cold. We're in the 25s now, but it's just we can't get above up in the 30s, 32s and 35 Fahrenheit. Excuse me. Evan, he says, maybe I'll sit in front of Home Depot. There you go. The cardboard sign. Oh, yeah. And to see if that advertisement works. There you go. There you go. It's kind of weird because, for you, Evan, I for one, I mean, you got a nice SUV, right? And that's like it's like a mini, it's almost like a minivan, right? Or a service van. So, I wouldn't be opposed to like getting that thing like labeled up, or do a nice wrap. My only concern is depending on what your neighbors are like, that they, you know what I mean? The red flag. Because I there was a guy, now I'm just thinking of it, that used to he worked at the road commission, and he did pest control. And I always remember he would always park his vehicle towards to the front. I think they all kind of parked up in the front, but he always makes sure his was like in the front. So he's always advertising by the road. And I thought that's pretty smart. You know what I mean? I just don't like the idea that, unless you're parking in the garage or something like that, just if you get a Karen that, says, I think he's running. So like, I mean, here's some ideas, right? Or just some stories. There's a guy that's down from the shop that, the city that's not, it's like, it's a joint to where the shop is basically. You cannot have a 4-post or a hoist, let's just say, or car lift in that city. If they find out that you have one in your garage, they classify it as you are running a business, and that's a no-no. So it's just certain things that can get triggered. Really comes down to a neighbor complaining, right? So, they start hearing noise, or they start hearing an enclosed trailer or the back of a door, or they see a pile of doors or parts or something on the side of a building. That's where, and you don't have really nothing for a defense lined up yet, where you can go, I don't understand. I'm leasing a building. Like, go ahead and Google it. And this is just my personal vehicle. I drive home. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have that line of defense. So it's just something to think about. I think there was a guy that was over by one of the rentals, and he was welding. Super cool dude. But I think he got booted. And I think the city finally got on him because, I mean, he had like he's always doing stuff in the garage, but he have stuff being dropped off, just a lot of activity. And I think some neighbors kind of, chewed on him. Sometimes there's that saying, right? Out of sight, out of mind. So sometimes that's why it's nice living back in the woods or whatever. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Nothing. It says, had a couple tire kickers reach out through my website, but never got any replies back. Interesting. Yeah, like I said, don't forget, if you can get some hoodies, I've never really done it. I really still think, I don't know what hoodies are running. What are they running? Like probably $40, if you could set some people up. People love hoodies, you know what I mean? Especially you're up in a northern climate where it's pretty much cold, 6 to 8 months out of the year, it seems like. I just can't believe like ABC roofing around here. People wear them. I mean, they just go everywhere. I mean, in worst case, if they even turn them in, they go to like a Goodwill or a thrift store, you know what I mean? And people still buy them, So it's just kind of, I don't know. I say it, but I haven't even done it yet. Do do do. The tire kickers. Da. Rusty's got already. It's working, Evan, because we all get those people every day. Ah, the old tire kickers. We've had some. I don't know what's going on. We're kind of going in that like weird like I can hear I'm hearing the stories. We're having those weird customers. You guys, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this or not. You get into like that funk where it's like you just kind of like getting repetitive jobs that you're like, what is this? Like this is a crap job. This is another crap job. This is another like just uh like easy set springs that are broke, or a customer, maybe they got extension springs and the cable broke, and it's like, hey, we don't do extension springs. We can convert it, and they kind of brush it off and like, well, I don't have the money. Just like there's some weird stuff going on right now. It's like kind of feels like the tire kickers, but for sure, and at least in our general where the shop is and stuff like that, and the demographic, I don't see a lot of money moving. And I know it's seasonal, so it's that type of year or that time of the year. But I'm seeing it more with some of the businesses that are typically like we have a tire shop that's down the road, and they're like always busy because they still work on cars and do brakes and stuff like that. That place has just been, I mean, you'll go by and go, oh, there's quite a few cars. And then it's just been like there's only like two or three cars there. It's just off. Things seem off still. And like I said, it might be, you know, uh, changeover with, administrations and stuff like that. We'll see how things play out. But I think inflation's hitting people. I really do. It is high. Do 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 do. Got on there, Rusty. Says, what's he got here? This is my neighbors park their campers on the side of our yard. I don't think they mind a labeled vehicle. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody knows or had this experience. I don't know for sure what triggers. Um, so like when I was running, excuse me, when I was running my business out of the house, but see, like where my house was, it was actually really hard for me to get a loan because my house was considered. Oh, what was it? I think it was commercial. Yeah, it was zoned commercial at the time, and but something triggered, right? I just started the business. And next thing I know, I don't even remember how long it was, 6 months, a year and a half. I got a letter from the city, and the city said, you know, we've noticed, or we've been informed. So they always do some political crap, like we have been notified or something, right? They don't ever say we have found out or something. We've been notified that you're running a business out of your house, and it's this, and I'm like, great. So I'm like, now what? You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Sometimes, when you get a business, everybody wants to get in your pocket, man. And so it's like, okay, so like now what? And I had to go. I think it was like a $20 or $30 license, for me to do business. And I'm supposed to. They give you like verbiage that you're supposed to put it on the wall. But if you're not zoned commercial and you're zoned residential, you know, uh, sorry, you're breaking the law. You need to shut it down or you got to move. They can just make your life real hell. That's the only thing. And once they know about it and gets in their system, they seem like they're pretty persistent about it. That's the problem. So that's why I think so. Here's an idea for people in general. We're getting a lot of those I call them man caves, where they're building these They're big buildings, but they divide them off with overhead doors. And I believe I haven't been by the one. I believe they got their own mailboxes out there. It's like all, kind of like an apartment complex, where they're all stuffed in there. And I thought, as a young person, I was telling Caleb this. I said, dude, I said, you're kind of at that like age where, eventually you're going to want to, move out and stuff like that. And I said, dude, I said, if it was me, I said, it's $1,200. I said, I would invest in one of those before I'd go spend 9, 12, $1,600 on an apartment that, makes you no money. I said, you got to keep your nose clean. I said, but you got somewhere that's tall ceilings. It's got a drain. I said, when you're young at that age, you need to get your ass out there and hustle. You know what I mean? You need to be working your butt off. And I said, I'd be crashing in there. I said, I'd be working in there. I said, you can bring your vehicle in there. You can clean it out, whatever you're using. Um, just some ideas. And you got an address. Cause I seen another fence company and I was looking them up one day. I don't know if I had to write them a check or what was going on. Somebody was getting work done I can't remember. And I was like, where is this address coming from? And so I started like Googling it and I was like, that's a storage unit. I was like, well, how does that work? How do they use a storage unit that doesn't have, as far as I know, I mean, there's no mailboxes. I mean, we pretty much did all the fencing and developed the whole place. So there's no mailboxes there, so it's like, so what happens when somebody wants to write them a letter? I mean, does it go to the storage unit place and storage unit place like, excuse me, I just literally came across a newer door company around where the shop is. And I was over on that side of town. I said, you know what, I'm going to go take a look at it. It's in a good city, good town. And it does not exist. I don't even know how they're getting away with it. They're using a hospital. It's like a med center, a pretty big med center. It's not a little one. And that's the address. So I'm like, how did how is it that you and me get flagged? You know what I mean? But this person's using a hospital, a med center, and this is not being flagged. And I'm thinking, like, I thought, am I getting it wrong? I mean, looked at the address. I'm like, nope. Look back at the Google thing. I'm like that makes absolutely no sense. Oh, things you learn. Do. Maybe I'll sit in. I had a couple. Rusty said already he's working, Evan. My neighbors. Maybe you can slide your car up by the neighbors. So it's kind of tucked back there. You just come home, you throw a sheet over it, whatever, those car things. Do. Clope regional guys stopped in today with all of last year's numbers, like how many of each door. What's this? What do you got here, Rusty? I don't quite. Clope regional guys stopped in today with all the last year's numbers. What does it say? It says like how many of each doors. What you got? Liftmaster are going up 5%. Okay. I think I heard 10%. I thought maybe Papa Tony was talking about something about a 10% where he's from. So we'll see. The numbers, man. The prices are going up. Rusty says he says sold less doors for them. So they thought we were hurting for business compared to last year. I told them conversion ratio, and they said don't lower prices, just get more leads. Yeah. Well, we've talked about it, Rusty. You know how it goes sometimes. You know what I mean? It's that whole thing, right? Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're profitable. And sometimes less is actually more. So you just, it's really filtering out those bad ones. I've been helping out, with Cap and stuff like that in the business. And we are having I first thing I do is I go in and I'll check into Jobber and stuff. And I already told him, I said, I can see the one problem. I said, for one, I said, I said, secretaries are not getting pictures and they got to get those darn pictures, man. I don't care. Anytime, even if it's, you got 5 minutes, you got 10 minutes, you got an hour, start calling, text them back, whatever you got to do and say, hey, could you send me a couple pictures? You know what I mean? Because like this said, this one with the extension springs could have been avoided. If would have had it, somebody could have called it out and said, "Ooh, I see extension springs, sir. We do not do extension springs. If you want, we could do a spring conversion. It's going to be X amount of dollars." And the guy might go, "Oh my gosh, I don't have 1.2 million dollars. I can't afford that." And we go, "Okay, sir, not a problem. You know what? Hey, here's our competition. You might want to give them a call. They're great people, and maybe they can help you out." And we just walk away with no money or gas or investment. And you just wait for the next one to come in. That's a bigger, fatter, juicier one. Tony's in the house. What's up, boys? What's up, Mr. Tony? Hope you're doing good. Tony, did you use a new person today? I can't remember. I might have been dreaming that. Evan's got just finished that spring replacement. Papa Tony. Nice. I forgot to ask too, Evan, did everything go just, smooth as can be, or what would you do differently? Or is the springs off? Was everything balanced out good? I was just thinking, Evan, we were talking about the one time about grinders, and I just smoked a grinder the other day. I am not having good luck with Milwaukee tools. I'm just going to tell you that. That's just my opinion. Dun, dun, dun. I think of it as right now, if you said I was kind of looking for the middle of the road or a decent pair, I don't want to go Ryobi, or go Craftsman or go Porter Cable. What tool, Uncle Dave, would you go with? And I say, I'd probably go with DeWalt. I think they're most universal. They do seem to work. These batteries, man, these Milwaukee ones they lose so much power in the cold. It's not even funny. Even my power pack with the 12 amp batteries, I mean, it's like cut to, I don't even know if I could say half the power. It's like, I'm just so old school. I remember the 18 volts. 18 volts seem like, those nickel. Lithium batteries just seem like they suck, in my opinion. I think they need to come out with nickel ones, just bigger packs on them or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that field, but I just don't remember all these problems with the nickel batteries. These lithium ones. And the sad part is, like, a lot of my tools, like, don't sit out in a service vehicle in the freezing cold. They'll sit like in a truck and it's not heated, I want to say, but it stays about 40 degrees. They are giving me a better price this spring and helping me to improve my website. Ooh, I'm excited for Spring Rush to begin. I know. I'm with you, Rusty. It's like, let's go. You know what I mean? I agree. Dun, 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 dun. It's going to be a real interesting spring. I don't know I probably got to talk to one of my builders and see what his theory is on it, what he sees out there. A lot of times, some of the big builders, I'm sure the other builders too, they can see kind of farther out because they're getting a lot of bids in. No. Rusty's got, hey, Tony, what's up, Mr. Paul? Took the day off for my birthday and snowboard instead of installing product. Peter's in the house. Happy birthday. That's right, Paul. Happy birthday. Paul, how old are you? 40, 50, 60, 20? How young? How old? Peter's in the house. So Peter, I was just thinking too, because I was like, man, I kind of hope I answered that fair enough with the Menards. Peter, you might be one of them. I don't know if anybody else has been entertaining or has engaged with the Lowe's or the Home Depot installs. If you do, let me know. Let me know on pricing or anything like that. I always felt like they're really a one man band type of outfit, but it might not be. The insurance is quite a bit. It can be a lot of work. Like I said, that was when I got a secretary because I was just like, oh my gosh, they're bombarding me with paperwork and this had to be sent in. And it's like, dude, it's like I'm out in the field. Like I can't I can't put wrenches down to send you some insurance paper or send you whatever this customer's got going on or um I just couldn't do it all. Can't do it all. Do, 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 do. Rusty says, Dave, they had all my numbers for how many of each model. Oh, interesting. Interesting. That would be kind of cool. You know what I mean? For each model sold because, um, you know, I don't know. Some of these guys, right? I always feel like when we're dealing with these salespeople, right? They're like, "You guys need us. You need to upgrade these customers. You really should be selling these higher end doors." And I'm like, dude, we don't live in like a high this ain't Miami. This ain't LA. Like, I mean, we don't have a lot of the trying to keep up with the Jones. It's more like I need a door that works and keeps some heat in and goes up and down. And I want it to look kind of pretty and, be white or maybe brown or taupe in color. Um, but it like to do all the bells and whistles. Yeah, we do come across them occasionally, but it's not like, I mean, some of these people, you start giving them numbers, and you're in a 2 to 5 to 8,000. They just, like, did you look at my house? But you need to upgrade. I mean, I can tell you need a roof. Yeah, I know you need siding. And oh man, I can tell you need windows. Oh my gosh, this concrete is horrendous. But you need an $8,000 door. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man. That's what they act like we're supposed to do. And I'm just like, you know, and then sometimes I'm doing like this. I'm like doing the timeout and I'm like, come on. I'm like, just give us like the product you're supposed to. Wayne Dalton's been a flop. That's all I know lately. They have been nothing but a flop. And I don't know if they'll ever get their act together. I don't know if a lot of other places, like maybe Rusty could comment on this. Rusty, have you been to any of the Clopay facilities and stuff like that? Or the distribution center? I mean, are they using temps? The problem is Wayne Dalton. They always are using temps. You know what I mean? It seems like a lot of temps, maybe not where they build them down in Ohio, but the warehouse and stuff, that's our localer. It's just like they always got temps, and they just look so like, and I'm like, you guys could probably save yourself some money if you paid for some hirees and found some people that maybe took a little bit of pride, which I know is really hard to find. But man, I mean, I've been to some and it's like they look like they just like literally picked them up off the street corner, and it's hat backwards and they're just like dropping sections. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you don't drop sections like that. What? It's like plywood. No, the hell it's not. I'm like, you don't know like what it's like to be out at a customer installing a brand new door. And now you got a dent in it. And you're like, oh, how am I going to take care of this? So how much I spent, an angle, weather seal, etc. Yeah, those are some cool numbers to have. This is thanks, dude. 29 today. Oh shoot, man. I was just telling the wife of Tron. I was like, boy, if I could be back in my 30s. Wow, yeah, last year, man. It enjoy it. 29. Wow. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. You know, I'm telling you, this is my humble opinion. You know, for me, man, I was busting hiney out there, whatever you got to do. You know what I mean? If it's a side job, you're working with somebody, whatever, man, sun up, sun down. Because life changes a lot, especially if you get kids, especially it seems like when they get over maybe like about 8-ish, you know what I mean? About that 8 years in age. There's a lot more sport events and things that you that the wife maybe, or, just can't take on. So, but 40, things have changed. Things have changed a lot. Definitely, and it's like a good thing, but you can tell your body's not as good as it used to be. Um, the weight is harder, to burn off when you're younger. Just a lot of things, a lot of things. So enjoy that youth, you know what I mean? Because now I'm getting to that point where they always tell you one day you'll understand. I'm starting to understand. Tony's got Milwaukee is the best brand of what do you got? Milwaukee? Tony says Milwaukee is the best brand of tool out there. Well, I like I said, not an expert, but my opinion is I think Milwaukee. I thought I've heard Milwaukee got somebody's. You guys have commented before. It's MTIC or something is called out there in China. I think Milwaukee has turned into kind of like the MTD, right? We all kind of know about, like, if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, right? And you go to buy a riding lawnmower, right? And there's the Huskies and there's the Craftsmans and then there's the John Deere, son of a biscuit, the John Deere, right? That you grew up with maybe back in the day, right? That grandpapa, had, because there's some people in my family that have those older John Deeres, like the 316, I think they are 318, 455, that are still running, built like a tank, actually have a frame, not a what do you call that? I don't know what they call it, like a mid frame, not mid frame. It's like cars. Oh, I wish I could think of it. Subframe, I can't remember. Anyways, but they're all made by MTD. You know what I mean? And I think Milwaukee has fallen into that because uh I don't, my tools are like probably around the 4 years, and I have not worked them since I've had them super hard. And I just don't see it. I get I get to use like caps and stuff. I get to use the other guys. I got to use a rigid the other day to save me because my Milwaukee failed, and the rigid was doing the same thing. It's like they got that dup, 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 there they like chatter, because you're pushing too hard or whatever. And I'm like, just give me my old 18-volt DeWalt. You know what I mean? That'll just, like, I can hear it and it'll just keep spinning. And you go, oh, I got to let off. It's too much. Or like the battery, when you got to do that last turn, you could almost like hold the trigger and like twist it to get that last turn out of it. But I know if you get into their batteries, that's where they get you. So, of course, what did I have to order? Now, I did try to order the brushless. This one, the last one I had was brush, or I don't know what it is. I didn't say, but I'm assuming from, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I thought I heard at one time when you buy a Milwaukee didn't play the games like DeWalt does, where like when you buy a drill, there's like 2 or 3 different models. There's kind of like like the retail store, the box store version. Then there's kind of like the, mid grade. And then there's like the pro grade or something. And they do it in the numbers. It's just, I just don't like all these games they play. I'm like, give me the pro, whatever's the pro, like whatever's got the best stuff in it. Evan says, gonna go have supper. Pop back in if you're still live. Well, enjoy supper. Let us know what you got, how good it was. Tony. What's Tony got here? I must have been on drugs when I said Milwaukee. That's what I was kind of assuming. What the best? Not really. He says, future son-in-law wrote that. That's funny. I was thinking Tony's a DeWalt guy. As far as I know, I don't know. You got different. Don't you got some down south too that are different? We know Rich B. He loves, where's Rich tonight? We got Rich. He's the Milwaukee guy. He likes his Milwaukee. They work. I'm not trying to bash them. It's just I'm starting to get a little more like sticker shock. Every time you look at him, you're like, what? Like, why do they gotta charge like 20, 30, 40, 60 bucks more than like everybody else? Because it's red, when you gotta buy something that's kind of odd. Paul's guy says Milwaukee can handle the main. He says winters. He says in -10 in a day. He says out of the batteries just work. Nice. Nice. I don't know what it is. Like I said, maybe my stuff, somebody was mentioning too on a video about my impact. It's a brushless one. And they were like, I don't know if they said, I think they did say if that's brushless, they're like, you might have to get a new impact. I'm like, really? It's like my impact seemed like like it's struggling that hard. It could be. It could be. I'm just used to it. You know, it was a slow progress into maybe it just doesn't work that good anymore. Da-da, da-da, da-da. Peter's got, I'm scared to comment to Lowe's or something like that because I have a full time job outside of the door industry. Yeah, that would probably be a little bit on the challenging side. I mean, they always, it was like for us, we had, they wanted us to contact the customer within 24 hours. So you could basically do that, you know, and it didn't really seem like they said it could only be from 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. Um, I was always noticing that the customers really liked like the after hours or the weekends. They actually encouraged it. They liked it. They wanted to be there. So um, that was something. And so we were supposed to contact them within 24 hours. And I think we were supposed to, after we got the product, gosh, I think they wanted us to install the product within like, I can't remember if it was like 3 to 5 business days. It wasn't like like if you had a reason, like you'd be like, they wanted just to be notified. That was the big thing, right? They wanted you to be like, you message them back or whatever, and let them know, say the date, install date's going to be this. That satisfied them because they really didn't want to deal with that crap anyways, right? And that was your department as a sub. You just had to call them and say, hey, I'm going to be out there. How about we do next Saturday at this time? And they say, sure, and you just write on the paperwork or whatever. Now it's probably all email. I'm sure they don't want to deal with paperwork. I used to do everything over fax. Rusty says, what's Rusty got? Says, yes, they have a crew of regular guys. Then they fill the rest with temps. Okay. He says, that's why when I pick up, I go get my stuff directly. So I know everything is there. Well, that's kind of nice. Perks of being a dealer. Right. That's true. I'm still really surprised. Like I guess it's one of those things, for you, Rusty, I'm really, I'm kind of fascinated, right? Because I just, for myself, right, in the business, I have always I forget how far your the Clopay Center is from your place. I can't remember if it's like a 15, 20 or an hour drive, but you know, um I just could not see going to pick up I could not see going to pick up product. You know what I mean? And so I'm fascinated if you can enlighten me on some of the pros or the cons, because I guess what I'm getting at is that, like for myself, I'm always struggling for time. I always need more time. And like we used to go get openers from a place that's 45 minutes an hour away, one way. And it's like when you would start looking at it for my time, for an employee's time, what you're paying them, right? And then the liability, right? Because we all know that once you touch the road, you can get a flat tire, you could run into a deer, you could have a car that swerves in front of you and you collide and you can roll a vehicle, you could, so like there's all these things. And I just go, to me, because Rusty, I think you got a bigger building than us, obviously. I mean, ours is, I don't know what it is, basically maybe 30 by 30 or something. Um, if you can have that stuff trickling in, right? Um, that's kind of more beneficial, right? Even if because we do, right? But normally you got enough surplus of stuff, you can make something work, right? Because they normally don't, what do they, I can't think of anything. They normally don't forget the big stuff. Not to say they don't miss, like I've had torsion tubes, but we got torsion tubes. Um, uh, bag of weather seal, but if it's white, we're good. We got white. Certain things, I can't think of anything major except for when the cove was going on. They come with just a window section, and it was like, "Where's the rest of the door?" And they're like, "I think they're gonna send it next week." And you're like, "Are you kidding me? You can't send me just a window section, dude. Now I got to store this thing." So I don't know, where like, um, because still in the back of my head, I keep thinking, man, just to have a warehouse almost of stuff, you know what I mean? That's just kind of off limits or whatever. Man, that would be nice to have in your arsenal, or if you could sell them too, sell the stuff. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. Rich B's in the house. What's up, Rich B? Put that in your sippy cup and sip it. Rusty's got Clope Regional Guy said buy roll-ups directly through Menards is cheaper because you don't have shipping. Oh, dude, I'm so glad. I'm glad you brought that up, Rusty, because um, it makes me not feel so insane. Because like I said, we had a family member. Um, I think it was my brother-in-law, one of them, and he was asking about a roll-up door, and it's like, it's like that whole, like, they want to give us the business, and but I know, they are intelligent people, and they are going to possibly price shop, and I thought, there is no way, and it's just not the right thing to do, right? I just go, it will be $200 on top of a little door, which it's either gonna be an 8x7 or 9x7, something 9x8. Like, we cannot compete with that. And it's just like, even if they said, "That's okay, we'd rather give you the business," you know, is it worth the headache? Even if you're doing it for cost, right? Because then something doesn't show up. They didn't have the bearings, or they go to install it, and you know what I mean? Like, it could be a nightmare. So it's like, you know what? Just go to Menards, and they get big semi trucks in. And then the worst thing for us is, honestly, is on those roll up doors, it will come a separate truck on a flatbed, or sometimes they got that rolling curtain, that black rolling curtain, and those drivers are they're like the wild, wild west. They're kind of like the old time truck drivers. And so they'll call you up, it'll be, 3, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Hey, got your delivery, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, I was just literally going to go have dinner with my wife, or, hang out with my kids. Well, I was just wondering, would it be possible for us to, if you want, and hey man, I drove truck. I know how it goes. You know, I'm like, they're like, if I could drop it, I could just keep heading north, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. So I'm like, just go ahead, and, like, I'll meet you there 8 o'clock tonight. We'll get it unloaded, and it's like, yeah, that's how they work. And it's just like, you just grind your teeth. Dun, 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 dun. And then if it's a big door, which we've had, if they do it after hours, especially if you go to a shop, which we have had it happen, where you were going to use their forklift, and then now whatever, some reason they're not doing second shift or something that night, and the truck shows up, and now you're like, oh, and then I've done it. I went up to a door before, it was unlocked, and I went in the dark building and dug out a forklift. It's like you're out there unloading the truck. You're just waiting. You're like looking at the curb. You're looking at the road. You're like, there's going to be a damn cop pulling in here. I just know it. I know I tripped that sensor. I seen it turn red and blinked at me. There's a motion in the building. Do was it ACM garage doors? Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I got a question. How did you first start advertising yourself when you first started? I didn't know what the heck I was doing. We just had, so I think a lot of it, I jumped on the phone book, right? The phone book was my first one. I don't think you have to do that nowadays. If anybody knows, like with Google, I don't think Google cares. It's more or less on reviews, so that's why we started out with affordable, because it started with an A. I think the only person we had above us was like, was it A plus? I think it was A plus back. They're not around anymore. A plus garage doors. I think they were the only ones ahead of us, and then we were next, like in the phone book. So that's why I started out with like affordable. Um, so phone book was big, and then for commercial, I walked in a lot of the commercial. I was just walked in the door. I talked to people. Business cards, you don't get them right away. That's just, and then like I said, when I first started out, we were really just 50-50, kind of like we still are. To some degree, we're probably more 75 commercial, 25 residential. Um, but and then nowadays it'd be, you know, the Google's important, just make sure every customer you're dealing with, make sure you get a review. Like I said, I think Google's getting a little bit more tougher. I can't say this for certain, but I think they want you to have like actually a commercial location that I think that helps boost you a little bit. Um, Things like that. I know Papa Tony's even talked about this a little bit. He's had a little bit of Google, Google's kind of weird. They'll bounce you off the wall. Like all of a sudden they'll say, "Hey, like we want you to verify something. Like you got to stick a key in, turn it with the sign, and you got to have a street sign, and they can get kind of funny on you. Sometimes some people do it, and it's like they never even ask. I don't know what triggers them. It's like that whole algorithm that nobody understands. It's kind of like doing taxes. Like, do you really understand it? Do you really? You know? Dun-dun. Rusty's guy says we are 50 minutes each way. Says the DC says we usually pick up because we can get it same or next day instead of scheduling a drop off 2 to 3 days away. Says also, I never have damaged products from them loading. True, true, true. So like we had a company in town by the shop there, and these guys, right? They were kind of how do I say it? They were like a branch. Like we had a place that was I shouldn't probably say names, but there was a company, that like owned the town back in the day, probably back more like in the 60s, 70s, and then they branched, right? Like an uncle went this way, or and a brother went this way. They had some feud or something, right? And this one, I mean, they were around for a long time. I mean, I was even buying a few things from them here and there. But boy, they just did some weird stuff. I remember every day, because most time if I get on the highway and I'd be going out to one of our vendors, more for fencing and gate stuff, and that I'd always see them trucking back, around the 9-10 o'clock era. And I remember talking to a guy that used to work for them. And then he started working for me. He was kind of my I don't know, field manager, I guess, slash sales. And he was telling me, he said, these guys every day, he says they have nothing planned. He says they literally walk in. And I'm not saying you do this, Rusty. I'm just talking in general. But he said they would literally walk in every day. And he says they'd look at what came in on the message machine, right? And they'd go, all right, we're going to call this person back, and this person will do these 3 jobs today. And those customers would need doors or something like that, and they would literally drive out to the vendor and pick up doors, because they'd have a whole stack on top of their truck. I mean, it was 3-4 doors on there, and he'd be driving back like almost every time I went out there. I always see them going the other way. And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, no way, And the guy told me that came over and worked. He said, dude, he says every day. He says they just go through. They have nothing planned. He says, but they'll go through because they get that many phone calls that they can just select what they want to do. And he says they'll just cherry pick whatever for the day. They'll go out and get the doors, and they'll install the 3 or 4 doors, that day, or have it for the next day for the morning. I just always thought that was interesting. I just felt like telling that little story. But yeah, I like I said, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I think about it and I just go, if you don't have somebody at the shop, that can be a little bit inconvenienced, but um uh and I think we get charged, man, we do get charged. It's like 3%. But it's just and we can get actually springs and stuff like that. But I just for me to factor in my time, so I had to send Caleb to our one vendor, and he had a haul. What was it? 12? No, it was a 14. So it's 16-foot long rail, which is not that bad, right? And then he had like 5 openers or something like that. But I don't know. It's time. I think he ended up getting 26 angle too, commercial angle. But what I always do is I'm always trying to get everything to come to me. You know what I mean? And then you just whoosh, that's just me though. So it's just something to think about for some of you guys. Um, and it's one of those things too. There's certain things you can do to save money, but I look at it and I go, the customer's paying for it anyways. If it's going to be a little extra, I'm going to raise it up 20 bucks and 50 bucks. The customer pays for it, but, I don't know if it's just because I've had over the years, I've had some accidents. Like I've shot angle out my tube once and that I seen it coming out. And so I veered off to the side of the road. Beautiful Dodge Ram truck I had, right? Cummins, beautiful truck, just beautiful truck. And I remember watching the angle smash onto my hood, and my fender and chipped it just like a son of a gun. Then I'm on the side of the road picking the crap up. So I'm always trying to mitigate where I'm like my time, you know what I mean? Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Do, 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 do. Rusty says, I have cost figured into, he says, my overhead so we can go there every day if we wanted. Correct. Correct. And like I said, there's no wrong or right reason. I just like to give people like I said, for me, my time, you know, I like, I like spending time with my wife, my kids, my family, or doing other jobs. So if my time is on the road, even though I'm being paid for it, nobody can discount that an accident could happen. Flat tire, engine failure, transmission failure. You hit something. Another thing I've ran into that's unpredicted, that's always a real grinder, an accident, construction. So that always got me, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'd go out there and it's like, dude, like I get a whole, for me, I get a whole nother employee for a fraction of the cost. That's how I always look at it, right? I'm getting a truck driver that's coming to me that he can go through the road construction. He can go through the one lane. He can go through the detours. That's not me. You know what I mean? I'm out killing what needs to be what comes in, right? Because like for me, when I was in the helm, right on the bridge, most of the time during the day, I'm sitting there putting estimates and stuff together and I'm problem solving where the problems are going to be, for the guys or whoever. And then I'd be the guy. I always called myself, I'm the joker and I'm the wild card because it never fails. Sometimes you get one, sometimes we get two, sometimes we get three. You'll get that emergency call and it's like, hey man, we got a door stuck open. And it's like, yep, let me put the cape on here. Superman to the rescue. And you got to go do the Hail Mary, you know what I mean? You got to do, get the door down. We'll be back tomorrow. Cap had one today. We have a bakery. It's a bakery. It's got a freezer door inside. It's a nightmare job. And, somehow it destroyed the top panel. We replaced the door probably around 5 years ago. And I have no clue. He has no clue either. And it's like, I don't know how they got it. We installed the new door and it's a horrible setup. It's on a conveyor. So when you're working on the garage door, you're literally on rollers and they're linked to some degree. So if the rollers kick on or something, you could just fall to your face, right? There's so many moving parts. On the other side of that door is a whole, I mean, it's like an Eiffel, it's like a skyscraper in there. You go on the other side and that's where they stack all their products. And it's all like robotic and they got some in there that are doing it manually, but they got these like machines, these forklifts that'll come down and they go up. I mean, it looks like Matrix stuff, man. I mean, they go, you're like, whoa, dude. And I mean, you got to wear the clothing of the clothing to go in there. I mean, it's like, I don't know what it is, but I can tell you it isn't like 20 degrees in there. It's all of 10 to 0 degrees. And it's just like windy too, whatever they got pushing the air. So it's a nightmare job. But anyways, top panel got all damaged. I seen a picture and he was like, help. And I was like, I could be there shortly. I said, but, and then he's like, honestly, he goes, I don't know if there's anything we can do. He said, without a section, he says, the strut's damaged, the top panel's all blown up, and they can live with the door open. It's just they don't like to. Um, and it's just like, yeah, it's probably not worth it. It's one of those situations where you're going to go in there and you're going to charge the customer. It's going to be like 5 grand worth of labor, and then it's going to be like you're going to come back and you have to do sections, and it's going to be another 5 grand with sections and labor and stuff. And they're going to go, you charged us $10,000 for it, or what? And it's like, well, we could have probably just left the door up and just did it the one time around, and you'd only be at 5,000 versus 10,000. And they were like, why did we do that? Just things you got to juggle, but I think he made the right call. What you got? What you got? Cost figured into. He says, did you make so Rich has got, did you make contact with Kevin? So just to bring some people a little bit up, I've been looking at a different vendor, and Rich is talking about Kevin, the guy that runs the place. Super cool dude. My kind of guy. He's got a little cussing and swearing. I like that. I like that. Like he knows his stuff. I think he's been doing it for 25 years. But I'm kind of waiting for a possibly a perfect scenario, where I kind of hear through the grapevines that there's a residential or something that needs to be done so we can deploy. Because with Kevin over there, he just said, hey, cut me a check, we'll send you out some product. And so I haven't really reached back out. I could probably, only thing I could do with them is probably get their emails. So I mean, Rich, if you do go by there in the meanwhile, because it still could be another week or two, if you get a chance, have Kevin write his email down. He told it to me, but that's why I don't answer the phone, because I'm horrible. I was like writing on a scratch of paper, and it was a pretty simple email. I remember it had Yahoo. I was like, he uses Yahoo? I was like, I used to use Yahoo. Who uses Yahoo? I think I only get a Yahoo Business or something on my phone now, business news or something. But if you get a chance, just say, hey man, scratch me your email, or if he's got a business card with it on there, let me know, because I don't know. Like I said, with residential, sometimes it kind of comes in threes, and then sometimes it just kind of plateaus out. Like I said, right now it's been a lot of horrible stuff. In a sense, it's not the right time of year. We just all of a sudden we got a whole influx of gate operators that people want. So it's like, I don't know where this is coming from. It's not that time of year. I mean, what, they want us to start doing fencing too? I mean, it's a nightmare. There'll probably be some videos. I know a lot of guys don't do the fencing but hopefully you like a few clips in there. We did I was the long distance loser on that one. Big time. Big time. Definitely wasn't happy about myself. Was not patting myself on the back about that job. That job was very, very stressful. I don't know if you guys have ever had a job where you're so stressed. I never had one like this where I locked up. I literally was at the job and I had to call the Wafertron, and I told her, I said, you got to come out here, and it was an hour drive, hour and 15 one way. And I said, you got to come out here. And I might've needed something. I can't remember if I needed to part or something, but we were getting towards the end, and I just, and she's like, doing that, like, well, what's going on? I said, I don't know what to do. I said, here's the problem. I said, there was not enough bid in this, or not enough money put into this job. And I said, I really need this truck for a whole week. I said, because right now, I said, if we have to unload this into a storage unit, that's going to take a lot of time. And I told her, I said, and then also I said, I really need this little skyjack or whatever you call it, telehandler or something other people call it. I said, I really need this for a week. I said, I don't know if I need it for 2. I don't know if I need it for 3. I don't know if I need it for 4 days, but I need this. Especially when you're like dealing with the elements, man, it sucks. Evan says he's back. Evan, what was for dinner? What'd you have? Hopefully you had some hot dogs with ketchup. That's for you, Rich B. Uh, da-da-da-da. Let's see here. Cost figured in 2 mile for us. So go there every day if we wanted. Nice. Says, did you make Kevin? What's he got here? Rusty says, Dave, I asked Clopay guy why those doors you did this had inside and outside hookup. They said for high cycle. Ooh, well, thanks for asking that, Rusty. I'm kind of glad you asked that because that's the second job. I think that's the second job I've seen with the 4 springs on one door. I don't know, man. I don't know. They seem I don't know. You guys are more welcome. Put your opinion. I'm sure some of you guys have seen my video. If not, you go back and watch some of them. They're pretty good. With that Clopay job with the J50 with the 4 springs on it, all I see is nightmare down the road. Because when one spring breaks, I mean, right? You got to do all 4, and they are not going to be fun to do, and they're going to be very expensive. And then the problem is, I'm not a big cable guy. Cables, they're fraying, they're twisting, and then to get everything to kind of pair up, I think I'd rather deal with duplex springs with heavy duty bearings, greasable bearings, and probably 1.25 inch shaft or something like that. That's just my thought. There's just too many moving parts with those doors, just way too many. I'm glad we're doing the job. I know Cap. I think he spent 3 days out there. I forgot how many cans. I don't know if he said he went through 10 or 20 cans of lube. And he said, he goes, man, he goes, I told him, I said, the one I was working on, I said, it looked like they sent the rookie or something. He goes, all the doors. He said, there were so many track bolts loose. And he found screws. He said, I guarantee you could go through there again. He says, and still find stuff that was loose or I missed. And I said, oh, I know. I said, but I said, that's why I'm really big on the preventative maintenance, right? Because you might see something that I don't see, and I might see something you don't see. So, do, 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 do. Oh, we had pasta. That's awesome. Evan says, you got to get the commercial Sherwinder for those big doors, probably. I actually brung the spring turner. I know, got some haters out there. But, we got 8 likes too, by the way. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. I brung the spring turner, and I didn't even pull it out. I was so that those doors were pretty overwhelming. Now Tanner, he'd be like, hold my beer. You know what I mean? But me, I was like, oh my, the door, the width and stuff didn't really bother me. It was just when we got up in the air, we normally don't have our, the 26-foot scissor lift maxed out. And for whatever reason, we had pretty good concrete. But, when you get up there by yourself and you don't got nothing to hang on to, it just felt a little wobbly. And so I had to get my sea legs back. But it was all good. But when you just, the drums are so massive and but I couldn't even, I was going to do it. And I was like, well, if I can't do it for them all, I'm not even going to bother. You know what I mean? So I just thought, because the way those springs are set up, the way the machine would rest or whatever, it was going to hit the second pair of springs from what I could see. And I just thought, screw it. I said, I ain't going to get this out and this big clunky thing and, try to do anything with it on these. And I was actually to the point where, because I think that was on the last day when I messed with the springs, and I was so over those doors because you ever just have like I said, it's one of those jobs. It just will not stop. You know what I mean? And you got to do it right. You cannot bow out. You can't take corners, and it just would not stop. It was just like every time I turned around, I'm like, God, I'm like, this door needs this. I'm thinking these guys are gonna think, who is this dude? This is some rookie. Like he's just up and down on a lift. He's getting his screw gun. He's doing this and he's doing that and he's greasing this, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, this door just needs a ton of work. Dun-dun, 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 Rich B says, I had a job. He says, like that. He says, with a lot of variables and a tight timeline for completion with fines if not done. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, it just seems like I've been kind of thrown into those jobs. But it's like one of those things. Like when you get a job that like for instance, right? That job, it had the J50 half horse on it, right? And it's working. Is it working great? No, it's drifting and stuff. It's working though. But then I put up this monster, this 1 horsepower with a brake and everything, basically the same or better, and it's popping the chain. I'm sitting there just going like, what am I overlooking here? Like what variable just changed? And that really just made my, my stomach just kind of go, oh, like what is going on here? And then trying to make things work and then trying not to change the mounting. Um, you just kind of turn into that, like, you're like, dude, like, I'm not a greenhorn, but man, I'm sure feeling like one. Like, I haven't had that feeling in a long time where, and then you're just doing things, you're climbing on things, you're out of the lift, you're doing things to make it work. There is just so many moving parts. Um, and luckily it probably wasn't really much of a time crunch, but it's just, you know, things add up when you're trying to, what I've noticed, because over the years when you're young, right, in your 20s and your 30s, you're just invincible, right? You can, I can lift anything, I can do anything. But when you start getting up to the high 30s and in your 40s, you start realizing, what, I don't know if I could hold myself from the ceiling one-handed anymore. I got a few extra pounds and my grip is maybe just not the best. Like, it feels like I don't have that confidence. Um, so and then when you try to feel human, right, like you try to take a break or you try to use the bathroom or you try to actually take a lunch, you sit there and you start scratching your head going, oh my gosh, dude, I mean, this stuff takes a lot of time, and so you better be billing for it or have it in the recipe or in your bid, basically. I don't know why I said recipe, but what's up, Smoke? Do 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 do. What's Rusty got? Rusty's always got some good stuff. If you were to price preventative maintenance, do you do it by how many doors or how long it takes, or just flat fee? That's a great question. If anybody's got any input, so we've been actually priced out before. We've done like something for like 85 a door, um, or an hour. I think it was an hour at the time. This is quite a few days back. And we got beat by 65. So my way of kind of looking at it is that with the preventative maintenance, you're kind of it's great filler work. Like Cap was kind of saying, he's like, next week looks kind of light. I've kind of gone in a little bit, helped, really trying to jam out some jobs in a sense. If next week's light, look at the list and see what is on the preventative, because what I love about preventative maintenance is, for one, I really believe in it. It really needs to happen. Every one of you watching believes in an oil change in your car. Y'all do. Y'all do. You've been programmed by grandpa, your dad, YouTube, whatever. You got to do an oil change to keep up on your car. You got to rotate the tires. You got to change the brake pads. But with garage doors, for some reason, we just kind of think it's one and done. And I'm talking at least on the commercial, even residential. But it's great for that, like, filler. And then you kind of have something residual. But anyways, you get the guys out there, whoever, right? It's a great filler. You make a little bit, you're not making bank, right? So you can do it however. You can tell them per door, or just say, we come out, and you go through your list, and we'll typically do some minor stuff, and we'll charge for it, nuts and bolts and screws and stuff like that. But if we run into like, ooh, that one needs a cable, we normally document it. This one needs a cable, and then a lot of our customers will say, well, give us an estimate to fix all this, or just fix these doors, because next 6 months we're blowing out the back side of this building, and all those doors are going in the scrap hopper. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we price it out. They typically, with our commercial, it's we never did it enough, but now, like, nobody even questions it. Like, they just are like, I feel like, because with the commercial, at least, they understand it. right? They're big boys. They got trucks, they got equipment, they got loaders. They know things need to be fixed, and if it's going to break, they're on the same mindset of us, right? That's why always say we're either tow truck drivers or firemen. We know what's going to happen at the worst time for us, so our trucks need to be ready. We need to be ready to go, and have our stuff because we don't want to drive back or whatever. So for them, it's the same thing. Like, we don't want our doors going down when it's a blizzard out. So you can price it. We've priced it. It's variable. Like, I think cap at that big building, I think it was over $3,000, um, for him to go out there and, do the preventative maintenance. And, um, you know, they're fine with it. I mean, what was it? They just dropped something on there. I don't know, but they got big trucks and stuff. Like, they don't even question it. They're just like, it is what it is. We got to pay for it. I think they're happy they're getting really good service, honestly, because it's hard. It's hard to find sometimes around our areas, people that'll provide good service. Like, when they call, we show up, and but they pay. They pay. Do, 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 do. Question. Do, do, do. Just a flash says that question is for everyone. Perfect. You probably do it as some sort of subscription, right, Rusty? A lot of times you gotta, I haven't found, I think we can do it a little bit in Jobber where it notifies us. I normally was always putting like on a calendar, and then I just flip through my calendar and see it. But it's it's a must. You know what I mean? And it's great. It's great because and you might be a month or two or three ahead of schedule. That's what's nice, right? It's a nice buffer in there to have. So all of a sudden you hit you're like, holy crap, there ain't really much going on this week. Hey, let's go through who needs preventative maintenance and let's give them a call. And I mean, typically sometimes we run behind and they'll call us. But man, I tell you, you just can't go wrong. And you're getting business from repeat customers that you're already in the system, right? That, it's so much easier to work with. I've always thought about it as like, I love working with loyal customers, right? I already know how they work. They trust me. I trust them. You don't have to play the new game, right? You don't have to go chase the new leads, that are unknown and you don't know what you're getting into. Or, when you go to these jobs, what they got. They got a forklift you can use, and they're maybe they got a scissor lift that you can use there, or you've been there enough that you go, every couple weeks or once a month. Their algorithms. So I really enjoy them, like I said. And then you can, you got somewhere to crash on a really nasty day, a real rainy day, or a really cold day. You'll crash do a PM job, and it's just, at least you're on the clock, whatever. You got a little bit of money at least trickling in. You're going to bill for it. You're also providing a really good service because you're going to find something that before it catastrophically fails. Because I noticed before we ever did that, that's what we were running into all the time. The 5 o'clock on a Friday, man, just, catastrophic. Holy crap, man. Can you come down here? And once we started doing two businesses with it, I could not believe how much we cut out of the whole 5 o'clock on a Friday emergency calls. It just was life changing. And it was great because it's like, look, we're providing you with a great service. We're catching these things before they have catastrophic failure. And if they do have catastrophic failure, you know how it goes. It's going to be the damage or the sections are damaged. Well, we really need to get to use this door. Well, it's going to be down for a couple weeks, man. The sections you blew the glass out of this thing. Because how many times have you come across? I've come across it many times. You get there, right? And they don't call you that night or whatever, and they cut the cables. Yep. I've had that many times, especially on commercial springs. And you know how it is, right? The spring explodes. It'll go over the cone. And now you get there and you're just like, oh my gosh, you guys don't understand. You just made my work double and just cost yourself double. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, maybe you can't use the springs or you're just going to change them. You're not going to mess with it, rewind it. I mean, there's always that weird balance. So preventative maintenance is phenomenal, in my opinion. And I think you can do it either way. You could go in there and do a flat rate. If you're not going to do a lot of, you could just tell them, say it's whatever, $20 a door, $60, $100, 500, whatever a door. And, they might come back and have somebody, or you can tell them, say, look, we're going to charge you 85, 120, 300, 1.2 mil an hour. And we'll go through and, I can give you an estimate, and say, well, it's probably going to be, probably take me 4 hours or whatever, and do it. You can do it however you want, but it's just a nice little buffer to keep payroll covered. You're doing them a great service, and you're going to hopefully get some work out of it too. Do, 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 do. That's when you worry if you paid life insurance this half month. Yeah, it's funny because Rich brings up that, and I remember one time it just brought up my head. I remember we were working at a power plant, and I'll never forget this. I remember I had 3 guys with me, and I bought a coupler for my jackhammer. And I remember we've used it a few times. I was kind of impressed with it because it saved us a lot of digging. But the problem is, you guys, if you ever used a jackhammer, how big they are, 2-handed. Well, we're there, and I got the one dude with me that's like the biggest dude, and all these guys are bowing out. Like, man, I ain't climbing up that, and that thing's too heavy, and it wasn't even so much a height thing. It was just, man, that thing's real heavy. And it was the end of the day. I think I showed up at the job towards the end. I shouldn't have been in that mood that I was in, but I was in that mood. And I'm like, whatever. I'm like, screw you guys. Like, watch this. I throw a thing over my shoulder, and I'm literally getting ready to go up there. And I remember I get a phone call. And I thought it was a joke. I get a phone call from the wife. The wife's telling me she's pregnant. And I mean, I got sweat running down my face. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, and I'm thinking, this is like one of those moments I should be like, really? Like, no way. Oh, babe, how, and I mean, I'm just like, this is not the time to be playing games with me. Like, if you're joking, I just remember, and it went through my brain because as I had to climb up there, I got this jackhammer on my shoulder. I'm going up super high on a metal pole, and I got high to high to high voltage lines running above me. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get freaking electrocuted. I'm like, I just know it. I'm like, this kid will never know what his dad, Thank you. It didn't happen, but it was close. It was close. Could feel the hair standing up. Evan, probably like a twice a year thing. So we do minimum yearly on the preventative maintenance. There is some people, for instance, that bakery that was today. I don't know for sure, but I don't think we've been doing preventative maintenance for them. And even if we don't do the rest of their doors, that door that's interior that has these failures, this door has always been problematic. We really, really got to get that one covered. I don't know how to explain it. It's just one of those doors that it's like a mystery. I don't even know how to explain this place. It is just the craziest place I've ever worked. Everything is on an angle in this building. Like they did addition. And it's like nobody knows what happens. Right. But then you got maintenance guys there. It's like they get their hands into things. But you never have it's like when you go there, there's never nobody direct to talk to. It's like we show up, we do the work, we leave, we send a bill, they pay it. There's like nobody a head person that we ever deal with there. It's really weird. But like that door, like that's one of them. It's like, dude, we need to check this door. Cause if we could have caught this panel buckling or whatever, it could be freezing for all I know. I don't think it is because there's not much moisture in there. I never see ice in there or frost buildup or anything. It's always everything's pretty clean for the most part. It's food. But I don't know. I don't know if skids are banging up to it and pinching it somehow. It's one of those doors. The old door that used to be there, we replaced the door and the opener. It used to be, it was a door and it had a jack shaft on it. And they would throw the cables all the freaking time. So it was always 8 o'clock at night. We'd have to go out there. And I said, we have to find a way to put a trolley on this. And we did. We got a new trolley on it. So, but to only be, roughly 5 years old, this door should have not damaged the top panel like it did. And if we could have caught it, I even asked Cap. I said, now you got to play detective. I said, what? And I said, what? And he goes, I don't know. He says, springs. Cause I thought for sure, it blew a spring. It had to blow a spring or a cable or something. And that's why. And he says, cables are good. Springs are good. He says, I don't know. And I'm like, bummer. Probably flat fee with time and material on repairs. Yeah, I mean, once you the nice thing with preventative maintenance is like once you go in there, you can do whatever. You can tell them, say it's going to be $20 a door, whatever the number is going to be, right? And it's once you go through and write down all your notes, what I would do is I'd actually get a sheet. I'm pretty sure like you can get something from LiftMaster. If anybody's got a good suggestion or a good checklist, let me know. But LiftMaster used to send they had like pamphlets to go through for preventative maintenance on doors, or I think it was for more of the openers. But it still kind of gave you the basics of stuff to look for, any hinges or something broke. But you can make your own, you know what I mean? Just check. I've literally wanted to get a pen or a marker and just touch everything, right? That's what I wanted to do. I almost was going to get like a UV one so I could like check over guys, like when I'd be like, how do they miss this hinge and all these screws out of here? If you don't want to make the door, depending on the place, some of the places we work are pretty dungy. So they don't, they ain't gonna care. You put mark on their screws and stuff, but just that way it's been checked by employees and stuff like that. Or yourself. I catch so many things when I spray. That's why I always spray everything down with lube, because when I'm sitting there spraying, I have to directly look, and then all of a sudden be like, ooh, like that hinge has a crack in it. Ooh, that's not good. That's going to be a problem. Or, ooh, that one's missing a screw. What the heck? But it's still not very bulletproof, right? Because I normally do because I'm normally on a lift. I normally do like straight up lines, even though I can move the lift. I normally go up. I'll do like a whole set of hinges. I might do the springs in that certain zone. Then I'll go back down. I'll move. And then I go down on another side for hinges and brackets and stuff like that. This is just because I'm so programmed over the years that my phone's going to ring and I'm going to get distracted and I have to know where to pick back up, because that's just been my life. I seen Kevin was in here. I don't think I said hi to Kevin. Kevin, hope you're doing good. So we don't quote. It is always just time and material Kevin's got. See, I missed a good one. I don't know how I missed that, Kevin. If I missed yours, put it back up here, somebody. Hopefully, Evan probably like twice. Kevin. Rusty's got Kevin. We don't do time and material anymore. He says always hurts the business. He says and give them a way to cut you down in price. He says plus I'm fast at my job, so it's potentially for being efficient. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can, if you got enough on there. But the one thing I could think of right off the top of my head, I think I'd have to go a little bit more with Kevin on it, is time and material, because with our commercial customers, so for instance, right, Cap just did that big door job that you guys see me do the opener on. And it did cross my mind, but I thought I could whizzle my way through. And he said, dude, he goes, I literally had to pull the lift out, put it on the trailer. He said, I'd have to pull over to another bay and bring it in. He says, because you can't make a straight shot through that building. He said, so it took me, I don't remember. I mean, there's quite a few doors there, but he said it took me 3 days. And then he said the car wash, he says that's a wall in there. So he says you can't even get into the car wash. And of course, with all the snow we got and ice, there's no way. So he had to put it back on, driving around. So, I kind of look at it and go, there is variables that are out of your control, right? If they have something in your way, a piece of equipment or, whatever, the good one, right? When they go on lunch and you're just like, what is this doing in the way? So Rich is probably flat for you with time and material. Where is it? Rich's guy says Tony fall asleep. He might have. He's gotta spend some time with the wifey, He don't like when I go early, man. He likes 9 o'clock and after. He's got his schedule. He's on a schedule. Rusty. uh, Kevin's guy says, Rusty says, we do a lot of RV factories. Most plants have 30 to 40 doors. Whoa. So going to be there a while regardless. Right. And if I'm, if you're talking like RV factories, you know how RV, like those people are employees and stuff, like they'll park like an RV halfway, and you just normally can't move, especially if it's like a camper, you can't move that right away. They got to get a tractor and stuff to pull it out. You could definitely be bouncing around a lot in there. What was it when yeah, I was doing remotes and say that doesn't count. But I don't know, I've had it before. You're just like, you know what, they're doing something. You're like, I'm out for the day. I'll come back tomorrow and finish up or something. Um, do. Rusty's guy says that's cool. He says, what state are you in, Kevin? Rusty says, I'm talking more about a fire department with 5 to 6. Yeah. Like a fire department, they don't make me, so like, I mean, that's a good example. And they don't really concern me. I could probably do a flat for them. That big one where I was, I would agree. We'd have to do time and material. So I think that's why everyone has to factor in what the situation is and how close it is. There's so many factors that go into it. Like, Rich B always says, there's never a job that's the same. Every job is different. Even residential, when you're doing residential service and that, I never feel like I'm always just like, you've been in those situations, so you know how to get yourself out, how to fix it. But it's like there's difference, right? You're like, oh, this one's got a snowblower blocking the man door. Awesome. Or, oh, this man door is pinned shut, or it's got a bar across it or something. Or, oh, this one they welded shut. Interesting. Okay. Or, this garage door is, or they're parking this one with a garbage can next to it. So that's why the photo eyes are getting all jacked up. Kevin, North Indiana. Kevin, how'd you guys fare with that weather that went through? Did you guys get hit pretty bad or not so bad? I guess this sounds like more in the center of the state. Maybe we got more kind of a fluffy snow, like it wasn't much. It was nothing. It wasn't no ice buildup or anything. So I was a little disappointed in the weather people because they made it sound a little bit more impactful than what it was. And but I talked to who did I talk to? I think I was talking to Caleb, and he said, "Dude," he said, "I had to put it in 4-wheel drive. I was sliding everywhere." And I'm like, "Whoa!" Like you must have got more of the ice. So, what was that? Must be Oakenheart. Yeah, he says, "Oh, that's what you meant. These RV factories up here have more doors than walls on their buildings." Wonder if Kevin would have any stories on those RVs. I hear all kinds of horror stories about RVs being built nowadays. I guess there's just like barely none that make anything good. They're just thrown together so fast and so many issues. I remember, when we had the cough syndrome, I was seeing they're flooding the parking lots, of where they were selling them, and they were just missing so many things, fridges and stuff, and they were selling like hotcakes. But crazy times. I think that's all starting to settle down now, right? I think the cars are starting to, the car manufacturers are starting to figure out, man, we got 10 likes too, by the way. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. Let's see here. Oh, hey, look at that. Rich B's already got thumbs up. Rusty's got Kevin. Do you have a differently hour rate for preventative maintenance? Ooh, that's a good question. Compared to door install or repairs? Ooh, Rusty, good question. Like the spring job with the shelf over the door. Yes, exactly. That's why I love the pictures. Oh my goodness. Cause you see that and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be back for at least 3 hours. This job is not going to be a 20 to 45-minute job. This is going to be a little longer. I got to see what's something. Is it Gopher? I can't quite say it. Is it Dora? It says, yo, what's going on? Got any questions? Hope you're doing good. Kevin's got no, it's just figured as commercial rate. Most that want preventative maintenance want everything we find fixed. Then no need to quote anything. Nice. We got a few that are kind of like that. They're just, I mean, like most times, like you'll have like a sheet and then it's like you go in and they're just like, whatever, like just fix it, and you're like, okay, like it's just going to be time and material. Just take care of it. Oh, it's Brent. Says from Rochester. He says, created a new username. Oh, sneaky. So I didn't have to use ever have entertainment. Well, that's why I didn't recognize you. What's up, Brent? Kevin, let's see here. Rusty's got Kevin. What is your commercial rate and how many guys do you have in the field? Ooh, interesting. I know ours is going up. I think it's like well, that's residential. I think it's like 210 now. Commercial. Kevin says, I wouldn't own one, but then again, if you were doing auto plants, I probably wouldn't own a car then. Yes, indeed. Rich has got, he says, hey, Brent, hope you're doing good. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday? Anybody got anything going for tomorrow on Friday? Anything that's going to be hard job, easy job, oh my gosh job, or smooth or working the weekend? Anybody hustle on the weekend? I got a gate operator that could use, it's a 460 volt. I could get that if I wanted to, but I just don't know exactly yet. Been working on trying to get the truck kind of cleaned back up. And there might be a few other things. Door operator. You got a door operator? Small, just 7 foot, Mr. Rich? Evan's got, he says, I usually throw my out of town jobs for the weekends. Nice. We got to get you back on the old channel, Mr. Evan. I got to plan a little better. I seen Tony. He jumped on. He deleted his message. It's not a bad idea though. Doing the farther away one, right? We got the, don't be a long distant loser. And on the weekend, at least you got time. You got buffer, right? You got the buffer. That's what we got to keep. I got to remember that. We got the buffer, right? Because, boy, you try to do that after hours, after work or something, it's going to go wrong. It's just going to go wrong. It's going to go south so bad. Dun, dun, dun. Kevin says he's got, I think one man is 180. He said, and two man is 220 an hour. Nice. So we have commercial service tech, residential techs, and a 2-man install crew. Nice. Boss picks up a lot of commercial service also. Yep. He's the Joker. He's like what I was doing. He's the Joker, you're kind of like waiting, Some guys kind of think, I always got criticized like, you just sit in the air conditioning all day. I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, I'm waiting for the phone to ring after what you did today, peeing in a cup. Customers upset how you talk to them. You didn't pull your hands out of your pocket. You looked at them cross-eyed, you name it. something didn't go right, the door's got a scratch on it. They think you should, they don't know how it got there. Uh, Look at that. He said, I subbed to your channel too. Oh, and Evans. Perfect. Yeah, good. Good, good, good. I'm waiting. So, I mean, I'm waiting, man. I'm just waiting until I can lay in bed and I can blow up Evans' channel. Rich has got 18 by 6'6". Oh, probably won't need a ladder. Just a step stool if anything. Oh man, those ones typically it's always weird when the doors are down and I'm just like, I'm tall. I'm tall. Like, I can just do everything. No need for no stinking ladder here. This is easy. Tony said I'm back. Tony, what did you get some you get some grub? There you go. Thanks for the sub, Brent. Yeah. What you at, Evan? But what do you got for subs anyways? What you at? I think we're at 66 or something last time. You guys got to go check out. Make sure you check out if you haven't. Evan, put up, it's Evan's Garage Door Service. He's got it right up there. He's a cool cat. He's just starting out. He's going to go places. Evans guy says, Dave, he said, I'll text you later. I think me and Tony were talking about doing another boys stream tomorrow around this time. Oh, well, only thing I wouldn't be opposed to it, but here's the truth of the matter. Don't know what it is. I'm not an expert by any means. Fridays typically are about the worst day for people. That's just my opinion. I would love to hear your guys' opinion because I think Friday, everybody's so burned out of work and they are doing the weekend, right? They're going and getting their beer. They're going and, just getting their food for the weekend, whatever they do. I mean, they're going up north or they're getting ready for a football game. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like Fridays are like crickets, Saturdays normally okay. Saturdays what you run into sometimes people got church. So Saturdays nights are normally okay. Sundays are okay, good as well too, because people are pretty much probably burned out. They're like, oh man, I gotta go work Monday, so I gotta settle down. You know what I mean? Like I gotta be sober, That's just what I've noticed. But we can always give her a crack. We could always try. You just never know. Mm-hmm. 8 by 6, 18 by 6. There's that Dave. 32. 32 is better than 1. Getting up there. Like I said, it takes time. Plus you got, make sure you're taking all the video and stuff, like I said, always, it's always fun, man. I really wish I would have had like some video content when I was starting out. All the things that, I look back now and I'd be like, what a silly man, what I did then. I think I was telling Evan, I think I've said it before. I remember when I was first starting out, I didn't have stickers. So I was actually taking my business card that was probably darn near printing, like I went and got maybe a little bit nicer paper, but I printed it on my printer and I'd cut them out or whatever. And I remember I was sticking those on the garage doors. I was like, this is better than nothing. And I'd take clear tape. And that was always fun, right? Putting clear tape on a garage door. And I'd come back years later and because the door would sweat, it like all the ink would bleed down. Like you couldn't even like see it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt kind of bad. Like I was like, I was like, I can't believe the customer didn't rip this off or call me and just be like, can you come get your sticker off my door? It looks horrendous. I guess maybe it bled so much they couldn't even see who it was. I wish I could find one, but it'd be cool if I could find an old one, tear out. 32. Yeah, fellas, stop by. This is the Mexican grocery store on the way. Dang, dude, you got to take some pictures or video of that, Tony. I'd like to see that. Tony said, I think Saturday works better for me after 9. After 9. Let's see what we can do. Oh, man, look at this guy. Where's that delete button? That Rich B, man. Got to throw that mustard in there. God darn it. Saturdays should work. He says, I've been getting company says, uh, he says it's unconfirmed. Unconfirmed. Just keep me in the loop, you know. Dun, 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 dun. Tony says, Dave, you'll have to host it so all three of us could be on there. Yeah, I think we can do that. I mean, I like just, doing the Houdini on you guys. It's entertaining. I just go lay in bed and, you guys run the show. It's great. I think I know how to get back in this time. I'll let you guys know on the secret too. You just basically X out. You got to go back in, and it's normally there. Can't believe it. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know why it's got to X out the host. It just doesn't like me. Tony 3 says Rusty's got G says, what are the last 20 springs you installed? Like what size? Evan, Brent, depends on how busy you are, because if you can get pricey trying to have every size. Did I miss something? Here it is. I'm sorry, I didn't miss this. Trying to figure out what I need to keep in stock for residential springs. Well, I guess if you get a chance, Brent, I don't know if you've ever emailed me. I could probably find what we carry. I think we carry, like I said, I always used to carry about 14 to 17 springs, and that's left and right. You know what I mean? But anything from 207, I carried all the way up to 273 wire. Obviously, different lengths. I just kept everything standard of 2-inch. 2-inch seems to work the best. But I got a chart somewhere, and I think I might have a video out there talking about it. I thought I did a video. It may have been about a year ago, so it still might be out there. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Another way, I never really practiced this, but if you had to, I was always going to get because if you don't have room and stuff, I was always going to get 4-inch posts, or not 4-inch posts, 4-inch pipe, sewer pipe. And if you need, or if you got more, like you got some land or something, and you got now back in the field or something, I was always going to get like 10-foot, make my own PVC pipe, put caps on it, and throw some raw springs in there so you could cut them, if you needed to. At least you have them, right? Because those are just things I can't reproduce. I can't make springs. I can find hinges, I can find rollers, I can find screws, I can make cable. That's pretty simple, all that kind of stuff. But the springs, if you need the springs, and it never failed, at least for me when I was doing a lot of residential, kind of when I was first starting out, even though I had those 14 springs, I'd be damned if I find somebody that would be off, on the springs. I'm like, God darn it. I'm like, I really need to get this working, or so I could, typically I'd clamp it. But what I found out in the business is that it's like, the sooner I could get this customer like out of my life, the more money I could make, because it never failed. Because what I was realizing, I went, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm going to these jobs and I'm clamping it. Right. But then I got to get re-entry back in there. I got to get them to open the door. I got to reschedule. I got to get them to come home after work, or during work, or meet them on their lunch break, or, do it on the weekend or after hours. So when I started having the springs, at least the 14 springs I had, I normally could knock out probably at least, boy, I think it's even higher than 75%, but most of the time, 75%, I could get the customer taken care of. And that was one trip, right? Because when you're doing these things and your margins aren't real hefty, you start kind of going, wow, if I come here, I spend time, I clamp the spring, I wind the spring. Now you should be collecting some kind of payment, pays for the spring clamp and your time. And then you say, this will be applied to when I come back to change your springs. But you're always rolling the dice too. It gets you out of a pinch, but now that spring, it might last a half an hour. It might be 2 days. It might be a week. It could be a year. But, now you got to get that on the schedule again. And for me, it never seemed like it failed, but we would start stacking up jobs. And it's like, dude, I got to get back to this job and get the spring changed out. They've been waiting. I mean, every night I'm sitting there like stressing about it, going, oh my gosh, if that spring breaks, they're going to be so bummed. And, so if you can, so for me, I never did it. I wanted to always do like a enclosed trailer and build like racks in there. And that would be like, if you knew that a broken spring, you'd hook up to if you got yourself a big old truck, we need Tanner. We got ourselves a big old diesel. You know what I mean? You'd hook up to that puppy and you just drive there. Yeah, might be inconvenience. You can't get in the driveway and all this other kind of stuff, but you can park on the road. You can walk your happy ass up there and take care of business. And it's all one-stop shop, right? You got the springs, you got the torch, you got the vise. You whip it out and, the end of the day, what I mean? You're done and you don't even have to worry about it. What I mean? You're just making your own springs. And then I wanted to do, I think, a 20-foot trailer. I wanted to carry commercial on there too. And then start, because what I would do is anytime I'd run into a job that I was like, darn, I didn't have that for that, I would order that spring. And then typically you start getting springs that you're kind of in between where you can go, well, I don't have this, but I can convert them to this and make it still work. And actually they're going to be upcycled or whatever, but you could get it done because even commercial, it does, it gets pricey, but you might start making yourself around town known that if a commercial job, hey man, that guy's got them. He'll make them for you. You know what I mean? But you gotta charge a premium. You know what I mean? Do 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 do. Host, he says, brand depends on how busy, get size. Glad there was no video when I was younger. Thinking of offering 3 cycle counts, 50, 30, and 15. Ooh, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if anybody comments on that. I personally never messed with it too much. I'm not saying it's like not possible. I mean, I think you should, but I think this goes back to you need to have the springs. You know what I mean? So like for me, my springs were only the 10,000 cycle springs. So when I would go there, I could go, okay, they got a 218 wire, right? I got 218, whoosh, you swap it out. But if I tried to upcycle them, my other ones might be too short or too long for, let's say, like a 250 wire. So that's where, like I said, that trailer, and that would be where something like that would come in super handy because then you could just cut them on the spot. You're already there. You're being paid, your time and the wear and tear, and you don't have to reschedule. I mean, I guess you could try to pad it more and then come back. But like I said, you start kind of figuring, one thing we start taking for granted is our time. You start realizing, oh my gosh, man, this takes a lot of time doing, and as long as you're getting paid for it. But sometimes if you're doing stuff, you're going, man, like I'm only charging $200 or $300 to do these springs, and I'm going back 2 times. And then I would always factor in one more service call, for a mess up or a cable throws off or something that just whatever. And then by the time you go back that 3rd time, you're like, dude, I'm not making no money. Evan says, but you got to have different sizes for different doors, Brent. He says, I've just been offering, and when I need them, ordering them in. What's up? Is it T? We got T. Duplex spring changes. Are you saying because duplex springs, like how you gonna make them? Because that would throw me. I'm not gonna lie. Like that would be a big challenge. But I don't come across. I think I've only ever dealt with maybe 2 or 3 duplex springs in my entire career. They're not very often, especially with the other company installing 4 springs. But it's always a weird, like I've had some commercials. They weren't really good customers, but they've had like blowback on that, right? Like I told them, I said, like they break a spring. We had one customer, the door wasn't even that wide. I think it was only like 16 wide, 14 tall, but it had like 4 springs on one shaft, right? And I remember they blow a spring, and now you're like sitting there, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're like, I gotta change like 4 springs. There's a lot of iron up there. And you're going, dude, that's like 4, 6, 800, $1,200 a spring. You're like, holy crap. And like you're like, how are we gonna tell a customer like we need to change all 4 of those springs, right? But that's the right thing to do, right? And you're like, fudge, you're like, this is gonna be a 2, 3, 5, $8,000 bill. Oh my gosh. And then, for me at the time, I mean, I'm out putting out fires. So it's like, it's like I'm gonna be here like a whole freaking day, and you know damn well that when you start tearing into that, you're gonna find a shaft that's chewed up, or you're gonna get a center adjustable coupler that the keyway's all messed up, or do you even have the shaft? That was always a big challenge. So one thing I recommend for some guys too is I actually order 16-foot and make sure you do keyed. They used to send us not keyed, full keyed shaft. So we carry 16-foot keyed shaft because that's the biggest I've ever come across. But I'll tell you what, you will be so screwed if that thing's not keyed the whole way across. Ask me how I know. So make sure it's fully keyed, whoever you get it from. But carry 16-foot shaft, solid shaft. It's a bear, but it gets you out of a lot of pickles, and you just charge. If you got to cut 12 out of it, and the rest is going to be whatever, you charge the customer for a 16, and you don't tell them that, you just charge. But those are some things that you just can't recreate, springs, shaft. Those are big things that you gotta do. Business, he says, duplex. Tony Gospel, he says, how long have you been in business? You need to know what kind of doors are out there. That all comes in time. We're starting from zero. He says, we don't even have our first customer yet. Selling a 16-foot, says, box truck and buying a van and going to get it kicked out. Ooh. Yeah, and you just kind of I just rolled with the punches, you know what I mean, when I was starting out. So it's I know Evan's been steered away a little bit from like the Amazon, but I honestly, if I can buy most of them, I'd try the Amazon. I'd be blowing that thing up. I'd be getting me a drone package right there. They're cheap, but make sure just because you get them cheap doesn't mean you do it cheap. You know what I mean? Charge a fair price. You know what I mean? Maybe do some research, call a couple companies to say, hey, I got this size door. It's a pan door. What are we looking at? It's just get their rough prices, figure out your own overhead, figure out what you got to be worth an hour, what you want to be paid. Don't just, because the thing that's kind of tricky too is when you're starting out, it's not like because you do one customer for a really cheap price that they're going to go tell 100 customers. That you might get one out of them one at some point, right? Or nothing. And you should be paid, and you might have to go back and dun, 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 dun. Tony says, what kind of climate are you in? What kind of doors do you think are out there? Insulated, non-insulated? Brent says, this is Evan. Brett, I haven't even went that far yet. He says, I'm working out of an unmarked SUV. Riding dirty. Kevin says, you don't want to stock by cycle count. Plus, if you upcycle everything, you will run yourself out of work or need to increase your territory because springs take longer to break. That's fair. That's kind of fair. I think honestly, when I think about it, I think it's too complex, to be honest. When you're first starting out, that's just too many variables, in my opinion. You need to go with what's up there, right? Because let's say you get a spring that was off and you didn't know that, right? You didn't weigh the door and do all your due diligence, and now you upcycle it. So now you got more cost out of your pocket that you put the spring on here, and you're like, man. And then you'll play these, like, I don't know if um, you know, type number one if you guys do this, but you'll do these psychological warfare games on your head where you're going like, dude, did I like measure this wrong? I didn't weigh the door. Should I have weighed the door? Maybe it was the last guy. Was it the last guy that screwed up and put the springs? Was it engineered? Was it bought this way? Was it installed this way? The door doesn't look that old. Like I think these are the original springs. Like, what the hell's going on? Did I miss something? Maybe the back hangs are tight. I mean, there's all these things when you're first starting out. You got so much pressure on you with customers, and you're trying to look professional, and you're trying to, you know, um, get your wings, and understand what's going on. Where, like us seasoned vets, we walk in, we're like, what's up? Yeah, we got this. Yeah, give me 20 minutes or so. Okay. You just go inside. All right, sweetheart. You know, where when you're first starting out, you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I'd be focusing on carrying the stock stuff if possible, or eventually building up a little resource. And this is why also you don't want to travel far away, because like I said, if you're not going to haul the stuff, it's great if you can go 5, 10, 15 minutes down the road to wherever you got a little storage unit, you got your house, whatever, and you can make some springs, or you got some sitting there. Um, or hey, Menards has got some in stock, or whoever, a box store, and I can run over there real quick and make something work. Um, but what I would always start doing is when I was ordering through like Service Spring, if I ran into a problem, like what was the one wire? Is it 192 wire? I think it's 192 wire. Sometimes I come across that and was like, dude, man, 207 was a little bit stretching it for power wise, but I do it because I had an opener, and I just didn't have 192. But then I wouldn't want to order that because I just never hardly ever used the 190. Was it 192 wire? I think it's 192. I'd order 10-foot chunk. You know what I mean? So at least I had it. I could make it for the next time where, I was in a pinch. Do 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 do. Rusty says, how much money do you have in your budget for inventory? 100K budget to start. I'd say that's pretty good. I'd say I'd capitalize on it. I would try to work smart, because you can gobble it up if you kind of peed away. It's a lot of overhead. Did I miss something? What's to say? Tony says a lot of overhead to have that kind of range, unless you just gonna tie them and order when the job comes in. Do 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 do. Rusty's got what's Rusty guy says, have you installed doors before for another company? Good question. Rusty's got, where are you able to get springs from? Ooh, that is another good question. Do you have a Service Spring account? Yeah, or somebody to buy them from. So I was fortunate enough, our local mom and pa door distributor, they're the ones that got me queued off to it. Cause I told them one time, I said, man, I just don't know where, like what springs to carry. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I'll kind of get you a little care package, and once he set me up with that, I did my due diligence, and I made sure I measured all those springs. And that was kind of before, like, because they were kind of whipping their own together. So they didn't have like the Service Springs where it was like, it has numbers all on it and the links. So I would measure everything really good. And then I was writing it down, right? I had like my little list. So that way I could reorder. But then I just knew. And then what happened over time is I came into that, I can't keep dodging out to this place that's 45 minutes to an hour one way and just picking up one set of springs. I need this stuff, I need this stuff in stock. I need it to be, delivered to me. And so once I got that, man, I was doing pretty good. You run into those wood doors, just some odd size doors, I remember one, I think it was like like a 9x8 or something, or 9x10. It threw me, like I was like, dude, I was like, everything I kept doing, the IPPTs, I was like, I really need to order a spring for this. And I was like, God, I was like, I don't want to, tie this up. The customers got, it never fails. Like they, well, it's 4th of July weekend. We got a party going on. And it's like, or it broke right at the cone or something. I don't want to mess with it, or it broke something funny, or went over a cone. I didn't have torches, but some of the guys use grinders and stuff. There's creative ways of doing it. Different company, where are you able to get springs? Rule of thumb, 16x7, 15's radius, 2 struts, the 207, man. Yep, I know that one pretty much by heart. What do you got? 218, 3, those sandwich doors. Insulated 218, and then the 225. And see how Rich is dealing with 1 3/4 inch. I don't mess with it 3 1 3/4 inch. I just convert everything to 2-inch. That's just me. I only have a few months of experience, but I see the potential. Sweet. Jeremy, what's up, Jeremy? Have you heard of a drop test for water? Was this blast above a performance stage? I don't think I have. Have you heard of a drop test? No, I can't say I ever heard of that. I've done a few stage roll-up doors, but nothing like that. What's Rusty got? Let's see here. Rusty has a part of that 100,000 payroll units. You get enough customers for cash flow to start. Jeremy's was requested to test it by a new client. Well, I mean, I guess it all depends. If it's a, let's see here, where was it at? Jeremy, have you ever heard of a drop test for a water? Yeah, I try to stay out of stuff like that. If I don't know and I don't have the experience, it normally will turn into a can of worms. And I kind of revert back to, I go, if it's going to turn into a can of worms, I'd rather just go do 2 to 10 or 20 residential customers that I'm going to make my, 50, 100, $200 profit, or $400 or whatever it is, than to mess around with something that I could get. Because one thing you always got to remember, which was hard for me, is you turn into a yes person, and when you're in business and all that, you want to please, and you want to do the job, make money. Right. But there were so many jobs that I got into that, weren't good. Like you just got like they went through 3 different vendors and they got to you, and you were like the sucker, that actually would do something. Cap had a perfect one. He went to one. It was a cafeteria. It was a roll-up door. It was buried up in the header. It was a fire door too. And he was just like, dude, he's like, we're just too busy. And like, we would literally have to have a general come in and cut this thing, because they like buried it behind the wall. And I said, I would totally agree. I said, I think you did the right thing. I said, it's just way out of our scale right now. If we had a month of like nothing on the books and nothing coming in and we needed something to do, yeah, sure. But this is like for another company that does no residential, that they got more manpower, that they can mess with it, than us struggling with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's easier. Like you realize it's better just to make your money, than to sit there and fight. I remember who was it? I had a deal with a company. LiftMaster used to use somebody, if somebody remembers, I think it was called, gosh, I wish I could remember the name, but they merged together for a fire door. and you open this thing up and it looked like something from the space station. It had so many wires and battery backup. And I remember I had to deal with LiftMaster, and then LiftMaster said, well, I want to say it was almost like Colt or something, or they're the ones that actually like built it, but we kind of made, and I'm like, okay. So I had to talk to somebody else. So I'm talking like one person in like Indiana. So now I got to talk to somebody in California. It turned into a nightmare. And I just kept thinking, why did I get myself, we had to work in a stadium or a stage for a school, we're on the spiral case. And I remember, it's like we got headlamps and, you're trying to work on it and it just was not, it was just not good, and then every time after now that thing had a glitch or a problem or they had a fire drill, it would reset something in there that they never knew how to. So we'd always have to go back and we finally ended up replacing the whole thing at one point, and that was a nightmare. I literally had to. I wish I had video of that one. I can't remember if I did video on that or not, but I ended up having to put a winch, a truck winch up in the ceiling on the rafters, right, and actually have a winch come down, and we lifted the whole curtain up between stuff. It was a nightmare. There was a lot of stress. We had to bring moving blankets to put it on stage, and logistics were a nightmare. Elevators are amazing. Says hello, hello, hello. Jeremy says got more details. True. Part of here. I'll see here. Got more details, Jeremy. We test drop fire doors for school districts. They have a 80s fire door curtain their stage. Told them they had to contact manufacturer for that. Rich has got too much liability. Yep. That is very true. That is very true. I always tell everybody, including myself, you have to remember the 5 o'clock news, right? And that microphone. What happened? Can you explain to us? How did this kid get pinched and trapped? And there's always that. Evans guys has just thought of this. He says if your local competitor also runs the local vendor, should I try to get product through them or look somewhere else? That's a good question. Just thought of something. He says if your local competitor also runs the local vendor. I think it just kind of depends. It depends like on, you got to kind of shop around on, the pricing and the service and what are you going to get? Are you going to try to get something shipped to you? More than likely not. So you need to go somewhere and pick something up, if you need certain stuff. Or if you can use the box stores, they can help you out so you don't have to. I think it's like kind of a very, when you think of it, it's like you can go buy coffee from darn near anywhere, and garage doors is kind of not as much as coffee, but it's kind of like that. You just want to know that you got good service. You go in there, they know your name. You get you get a fair price. The product's good. And it's one of those things like you got to kind of look at like where you go, you don't have to be so attached to a product, right? Or think that's going to be what's going to get you, right? Because like I said, for the most part, at least from what I noticed, people don't care. They want their stuff working. You know what I mean? Think about all the cars you see out there that people don't even have a clue. They just go, it looks pretty. That's why I got it. Or the interior is nice. And they have no idea how the mechanicals work, where the rear ends or the transmission's built, or what kind of problems have been with it associated. Was it made in Mexico? Was it made in Japan? Was it made in Indiana, Michigan? They just drive it. They just drive it because it's nice, or they could afford it, or they liked it, or liked the color. It was the only one they had. It's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? You get the very few out there that go, well, I bought this, I did my homework, or they've been really reliable, and I bought the last year made of this model, so I could do my history or do my research. Um, that's just my opinion. What's it say? They try to get product through. Exactly. Richie says, I don't drop test. Fire door is not going to be responsible for damage that can occur. Yeah, fire doors are a bear. I ain't gonna lie. Rusty's got, what do you mean, Evan? For doors. Evan's got and ops. Rusty. Evan, likely they are a genie dealer, so you should be Liftmaster. Liftmaster. Ta-da. Oh, Brentska, I appreciate the Kenvio, guys. You're all awesome. Hey, that's what we're here for. That's what we enjoy. I enjoy it. I wish I had somebody that could have helped coach or mentor me, back in the day. I was just running around like a chick on my head cut off. Ta-da. Elevators. He says, what does he got? Can't be on here for long. He says, I'll try to catch you on the next stream. Good night. Well, have a good night. Thanks for being here. Come back again. Rich has got good night. Elevator. Rusty, they carry Liftmaster. Evan says they carry Rusty, they carry Evan. I still kind of, I think about like Evan when I'm starting out, or even like Caleb and stuff like that, and all those guys out there. You just go with whatever, I mean, that's how I look at it. You just go to the store, and if like for me, as of right now, as of February 2025, I would be going to the box store. I just get me Chamberlain. You know what I mean? The genies with that piece together rail. No, I like my C channel, the professional side of the genie residential. But the residential, I'd just be going to the box store. I'd be picking me up. I'd make the customer pick it up. I'd do it however you want. Tell them, say, well, this is what it is. You can go buy it. You can go pay and get the warranty. And if you want to pay for an extended warranty on it, all that crap, and it makes life so much easier because it's their time. They go stand in line. And you just tell them, look, I install it. I'll install it for 200 or 300 or 500 or whatever. And, and basically that's it. I don't even think I would tell them I'm going to give it a, maybe a 30-day warranty for labor, something I did. But, obviously the unit comes with whatever kind of warranty. And, but if it blows a circuit board because it gets struck by lightning, well, I come out and try to repair it. But you got to obviously pay me for my time. And, because I'm going to be honest, I really was just so the blinders on this stuff. And like I said, to this day, 18 plus years of doing this, I've still never got, very like a 1% where I got people and they're like, you know why I used you, Buckaroo? And I'm like, what's that? Because you use Liftmaster. But it's one of those things where I go, if you qualify the customer going in, right, you're fine. Like if you explain to them, or they, the situation, or, you use common sense, right? If there's another Liftmaster there and that model still made, which Liftmaster is fabulous about changing their crap all the time, and it's not going to match up anyways. That one's got a gray cover. Yours is going to have a red cover, or that one has a red cover, and this is going to have a gray cover, or a black cover, or a silver cover, or chrome, or a diamond plate. So what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, and they go, I wanted to match that one. And you go, well, they don't make that. I'll have to check, or you might have to go on eBay and find a used one. You know what I mean? But that's not me. I am not doing that. I am not going on to eBay. I'm not dealing with a faulty one. I'm not coming back here 3, 4, 6, 20 times because you bought 3 different used ones and they still don't work. I'm not doing that. Or well, I can, but you're paying me for the labor, uh, Look at you guys going away at it. Oh, dun, 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 dun. They carry. So this for you, it's going to be about price and knowledge of the product. Couldn't agree more with you on that, Rusty. That's what I would agree. Whatever you feel comfortable with, you feel, that you can do a good job. Um, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Whatever's quicker for you. If you got to go in, you got to have an account, you got to pay a premium, you got to pay more. Maybe, they look at you cross-eyed when you bring something back and they go, I don't think you quite know what you're doing, kid. Whatever, go fly a kite, man. I'll just go buy from the box stores. I don't need you. Or if you need that certain product, you get it from whoever. It's good to have options. It's really good to have options. Brian says, as of right now, my plan is to create a website and have it done by the end of March. Probably not bad. Doesn't hurt. Rusty's got Copper is your only source of income. If so, I would say save as much of the 100,000, he says, to pay yourself and for materials and other bills until you get enough business to keep it going. Yeah, I'd agree. Don't blow it all on like thinking you're going to find the next miracle pill for advertising, because you can get really wrapped up in like the Facebook and stuff like that, and YouTube ads. They can, or not YouTube, Google ads. They can eat up a lot of money real quick, especially behind the scenes. When you're setting things up. If it's me, the business cards, I'd make sure I have some stickers, start putting on doors, as you work on them, the banners, especially when spring's coming up here, the bandit signs, because those are, you can put them in, you can take them back out. You can put them up on the weekend if you don't want to, and then everybody, that you're dealing with, make sure you get your Google profile going, online and have them do a review on there. You can play around. There's a lot of free stuff you can do on, Facebook, where you can, take pictures, say, hey, another customer. There's a guy that was doing remodels, like bathroom remodels around my area, and he was getting me excited. And even though I don't use him, but I just thought, he's taking pictures. Hey, another satisfied customer, and it'd even just not even be quite finished. It'd be drywalled in. We got it all drywalled in, got the bathroom plumbed, and I was like, dude, this guy's on it, man. Like, he building excitement, you know? Do 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 do. Rusty's got there. Kevin's got fire doors can only be repaired by the OEM parts. So, ooh, yeah, that's true. It's got you dropping old doors that's obsolete. Yep, ran into that. We had a lot of them that are just fail. Why did it fail? Can't get parts. It's done for, dude. Brent says here, he says, get your Google verification and my business set up too. He says that will take months. Yeah. And you'll need to. Yeah. A lot of stuff takes time. Some people always talk about that Google Voice. I don't know much about that stuff. The Google Voice, or like Google Maps, things like that, which obviously I don't know if you want to do maps, because obviously if it's a house or something or whatever. And I think Rusty's mentioned something about not doing an address, because if you want to do farther away, which makes sense. Rusty says, I'm assuming the price of ops will be the same from what they offer me. He says, when I contacted the door company, since it's all out of the same building. I don't know. Just to like a little insight, Evan, the secretary calls like 3 different vendors, and they can vary a lot. And it can be different models and different sizes. Like, you think, okay, I'm gonna do with a hollow door. Let's say it's 16x7, just non-insulated door. It's almost like one week it can be like, this customer or this vendor charges us, and then this vendor's another $200 cheaper. And it's almost like it can fluctuate a little bit. or you go, okay, I'm going to do a pan door. Well, that one customer or vendor gives us a good price. We'll just call them again. You call them on the pan door, and it's like their chart is off, and you're like, what the heck? Like that seems okay, no problem. I'm gonna check over here, and you check over here, and you're like, well, you gave me a better price in the pan door, but your sandwich door is $200 or $300 higher. Well, we're gonna go over to this vendor. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of it's kind of like, it reminds me of like the grocery stores, like the whole milk thing, like they get you in the store. That's why they put it in the back. So you got to walk through everything. And you guys know, how it is, like you go through a store and you're kind of like, man, like they charge another 50 cents more or a dollar or $3 more than the other place, but the batteries are cheaper. So I mean, you got to kind of keep your, eyes open on some of that. Um, and it's not always about price sometimes, right? Like we got some vendors that we're paying more, for stuff being brought, but to me, it's not enough to, justify the time or going whatever a different route. Cause it's all being shipped to us. So you just have to choose your battles. Do, 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 do. Plan is to create Mars. Goes fire doors. Google. The ops. And I think even like Rich B's talked about this. Like if you do the box store and you've already been to the customer and say you detailed it. If it was me and I have the time, so like one of the techs I know carries an opener on his truck pretty much all the time, which you don't have to do that. But if you're going out there for, let's say, like, especially if you don't have parts for that opener, I just bring an opener with me. You know what I mean? And what's great about the box stores is it fits in this nice little box and it's clean and it's beautiful and you don't have to deal with a rail and all this stuff and then if you get there and you're like, ooh, Mr. Customer, it looks like it has a bad gear. It looks like it has a bad this or the chain or the cable, something broke or whatever. Boy, I would recommend we probably replace this, and they go, okay, well, how much? Well, with that one, we're probably, we're looking at 400 and some change, or we're looking at 500, 600, 800, 1200. And, okay. Well, I can do 800 or whatever. When could you do it? I could actually, I do have one with me. If you want, it's going to be this. Yeah. Okay. Why don't we do that? And you're off to the races. Right. And you might in the back of your head might have you might go, man, I got a chain drive. They got a room above here and the guy's already complaining about the noise. I really got to get him a belt drive. So, well, I got one, I could do it tomorrow or I could do it over the weekend. And it's going to be this much. Okay, that sounds great. And you have to make a trip back. But at least you tried, or you get the one that now you do have that chain that you're like, hey, it's a chain operator. But at least you got something to work with, where you could, if you win, you're winning, you don't have to make one more trip back. I think when it really hits people, at least it hit me, is for me, it was always the weekends or after hours when you're cranking a wrench, doing brake jobs, working on the tires, you got a flat or exhaust or something, or, that's when it always hit me. I was thinking, gosh, I got to quit making all these trips, because you never feel it when you're driving, right? You never feel the pain, but when you're broke down or you got to do something on the weekend, gosh, man, I'm doing all these oil changes. Why am I doing so many oil changes? Well, you're driving a lot and plus you're doing an extra trip. You know what I mean? So that's like that hidden tax. Google Rusty, same contact. I agree, Rusty. That's how we grow on our other business, which is great. Which says most fire doors and dampers, you have to be certified to test them. That is true. Rusty. Evan, what's your cost on an opener from this versus box stores? That's a good question. Rich says, Chamberlain half horsepower. Here we go. Look at Rich B. He's got the half horsepower. He says, belt 2 remotes, 179. Dude, how do you beat the 179? No keypad though, huh? They want you to use that phone. They want to get into your phone. Rusty Canada says Canada is probably higher. Yeah. Yeah. Can't disagree with that. I thought for a while we were gonna have that. I think we're good for a month, right? We got the tariffs, happening. I thought we are gonna have to get rid of Evan, you guys. I thought, but we got a month. We'll see. Can't be friends no more. We're at a trade war. Got a trade war going on here. Rusty says the Liftmaster are cheaper when the Chamberlains are on sale. Oh, aren't on sale. Uh-huh. 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 Not bad. Not bad. Evan says Rich B. So the same Chamberlain here is 350. 350 on sale. Evan, do you know what the average home prices kind of around there? I hear they're pretty high. Is it like 700,000? I mean, like, what is rent over there? Like, what's like a standard, just kind of a, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? We talking 12, 1,700, 2,000, $3,000 a month. I mean, do you feel like over there, like the average wages reflect that? I mean, if some of that stuff is that high, I mean, what do you guys think? You got to be making I don't know, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 80, I mean, $80 an hour, something like that, 50. I mean, Tony's gotta remember the big box stores, Logic Board, year warranty. Liftmaster has a 3-year warranty. That is true. That is true. Can't disagree. That's a good point from Mr. Pop Tony. I just look at it like I don't ever come across enough problems. I still haven't come up with a determination in my own head of, I almost feel like if it's, gosh, I don't know. I still haven't determined it because I know you get in those weird situations, but I'm that guy that just says replace it. The only way I ever know how to describe it is the Bic lighter. Um, I think Evan was reaching out to me. He sent me some pictures. He had a chain that he was tightening, and I think the chain kept coming loose. And I said, you better be careful. I said, because that chain's going to pop off that sprocket because that sprocket's tipping. And do you do a gear kit? Now, like on the old Liftmasters, I was actually more prone to do a gear kit on the old Liftmasters with the mechanical limits, right? Because people would be like, well, should I just replace it? And I was like, no. I was like, if you got the remote still for it and you've been happy with it, I'm like, let's do a gear kit all day long. Now with some of the more modern stuff, the MyQ, I haven't even done a MyQ gear kit in it. It kind of, I guess it depends. It depends. I mean, I know it's more labor, but I don't know. I get so nervous nowadays that it's like you're going to do something in there and it's going to be something else, and it's like, like, like I'm like, I should have just ripped this thing down. I should have just put a new one up that's fresh. Like I said, I always think about it as like the Bic lighter. I always talk about it's just I've never come across anybody that fixes a Bic lighter. I've seen where you bypass and make the flame real tall, but they throw them away and they go to the gas station and get another one, you know. And some reason with the openers, I just feel like there's not enough money where I just go, to me, it's just going to be, I'm sorry, it's 3 years older, or 3 years old. Unfortunately, all we do is we do not. And I try to think about that, but like, I guess maybe like a thermostat is how I look at it, like in a house. If I had a heating and cooling guy come over and he's like, yeah, I think your thermostat's bad. And I'm like, you think my thermostat's bad? I'm like, do you think you could repair it? And he's like, well, I mean, it's probably going to be at least $100, or I mean, for like 250 or something, we could just get you a whole new one. Whoa, well, in my mind, I'm like, just replace the damn thing. It's a thermostat, dude. Like, like what are you gonna do? Solder something? What are you gonna do? Like, but if it's a furnace, right? And that's why I think of like a garage door, like springs and rollers and hinges. That's a bigger quantity of money I go, yeah, okay. I go, yeah, we're going to repair it. You know what I mean? Cause like, if you're going to do my furnace and you're telling me, well, to replace your furnace, it's going to be 5,000 or $8,000. I go, "Whew, man, that's a big number, you know? Or, we could put a $300 circuit board in it or whatever, and I should fix it. Okay, let's do that. You know what I mean? Like the numbers does that make sense at all? I don't know if that makes sense. Where the openers to me is just like, I'm just like, "Man, I'm not even going to mess with, it needs an RPM sensor. Does it? Does it really need an RPM sensor? You know? And I guess if you carry all that stuff, I did there's so many different makes and models now. To me, I don't carry all that stuff. And I never had even back in the day, I never had the ambition to carry a circuit board because they just sit there in the vans and they rattle and they're in that plastic bag. And like by the time you ever go to like use one, it's like all the stuff is worn off the back and it's like the plastic bag that says, don't touch nothing. This is static electricity. And you're like, I don't even know if this damn thing's good. I'm like, it might be. Let's try it. And then you do it and still it doesn't work. You're like, I don't know. Maybe that circuit board's bad. I don't know. Yeah. I know I'm crazy. Rusty when they're on sale, 350, 199 when not on sale, just under 200. Evans says 450 regular. Wow. Wow. Tony says, Scott I says, remember the big box stores, logic boards, LiftMaster 3-year warranty. No keypad. Home Depot has the keypad and it's 3/4 horsepower for $229. Not a bad price. Not a bad price at all. Evers he says, that's a great point. How much of the stuff is made in Canada and Mexico? Should we accept a 25 increase in cost? I don't know. We got some time. We're going to see. It could. I don't know. One way or another, we're going to pay, right? Inflation's inflation. And we just pass it on to the customer. And then we become the customers when we need service. Ever after she's buying LiftMasters through Copay, they are going up 5%. I thought, Tony, didn't you talk about 10%? Or that kind of changed? Tony's had 2 big box store openers go bad on me last year. Ooh. Like, so was it under? And I don't know what so like, what is it? Some people have cheated, right? With the box stores, like they buy another one, throw another one back in, take it back with the receipt. I don't know anybody that would do that, but just stuff. Have been, what it says, Evans guy says, I have to grab some numbers in my area for Canada real estate. Don't you got Zillow? Go to Zillow. Online, Google. Marketplace. My Canada real estate. So some areas are pretty comparable to New York, LA. Says my area is not that bad, but you definitely can't rent an apartment and save. Rusty Evan, he said, if it's that high, you should be charging a premium. Yeah, because what did he say it was? Like regular 450. So you double that. So it's like 800. That's like 800, 900. I wonder what your competition, what they're charging. Just curious. Premium. Rich says, just like appliances, they're disposable nowadays. Ooh, good point. Yes. Rich B's on something there. I agree. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I haven't really came across or somebody that's kind of explained it to me without, because I know I'm kind of nuts, but I think it's really difficult because I think most of you guys, don't deal with like the employee aspect of it. And, you guys go out there and you guys are superstars and you will find how to make, out of a corn stalk, how to make a garage door opener work. And when you have that other side, it can be very difficult, and then try to provide the customer with good service. Where you have a technician that maybe is not seasoned or doesn't really know, and they rely on tech support, and tech support seems to be kind of, I think Tony had one not too long ago where the tech support, went against his gut. I know I have done it. And, you go back and it's like, God darn it, that still didn't fix it. So, and I know it's tough. I like to kind of puff my chest up about it, but honestly, I cower down from it when I'm in the field, because I know, like, how it is. Like, you're looking at the angle and you're looking at the wires, and you're like, son of a biscuit, they ran along the rail, and if I change this thing out, oh man, that top already looks like it's all split to hell. Son of a biscuit. Yeah, let's just do a gear kit on this. Or see if we can get this to work. But I just, man, like I said, the more I mess with them, I think it's just because they're not enough. They're not expensive enough. I mean, where I look at it and I go, I'm doing you a disservice. I'm going to waste your time. Um, I just rather let's just throw something in here. And it's almost like, you know, I can make $100 doing a gear kit, or I can make $100. And yes, it's going to cost me more time, but I pretty much guarantee it's going to work right from the get go. Where if I do this, well, I don't know for sure, especially when it's like the RPM, or it's a circuit board, or you get tech support involved. Like a gear kit, I shouldn't use a gear kit because that's pretty, well, it's all chewed up. You know what I mean? Because I can't remember too many gear kits I've ever done, and then I had to go back to, except for those mechanical limits. Those, if you didn't clean them off with a razor blade, you could have problems. But I know I could have technicians easily do a gear kit, right? And they pat themselves on the shoulder, but they didn't clean those things off, and now it's bucking, and they didn't catch it. Some of you guys have probably experienced, right? We've had it buck on you, the rail, and then it's like it doesn't do it again. You're like, maybe try it one more time. One more time. One more time. And then it's like, I don't know, it's fine. And then next thing you know, 2 days later, the customer's calling, going, my door's doing something really funny, or it's not going down all the way. And you're going, I know what it is. It's those darn mechanical limits that get that weird little coating that you can't see. It doesn't look corrosive or anything, but it's a problem. Tony says they went up $27. Darn things. Nothing's going down. Tony Rusty says, what was the old cost? Be cool if Mr. T gets rid of your income tax. That would be cool. I don't think it's going to happen, in my opinion. But it was supposed to be temporary, right? That income tax that was from back in a war, right? Never went away. Just like we came off the gold standard, right? That was temporary, temporary suspend what was it called? The transition of gold into money or something is how he worded it. Yeah. Temporary, just probably like inflation. Transitory. Yeah. Okay. Tony says, Evan, what is cool? He says, is they're going in and getting rid of the foolish, I'm assuming that's spending. He says, and they're not liking it. I know it's pretty crazy. It almost seems too good to be true. That's how I feel about it. It's crazy seeing some of the stuff. I mean, I like that they're stirring the pot. It's like I'm always wondering what the blowback's going to be. Next one might not be the ear, unfortunately. I hope not. Tony says my old cost was $255. Not bad. Rusty says, yeah, a little over 10%. Yep. For Liftmaster Tony or the Chamberlain. I'm assuming the Liftmaster. That's what I'm assuming. We'll see what he throws in there. Rich says, I'll do repairs on anything mechanical, but not electronic. That's a good way to look at it. I could see that being, I think the only one thing I still think about where I got my butt handed to me was it was like maybe for a single lady or like a old lady, and her, you guys have seen it before, right? Where you got the chain, they do the chain and then half cable on a garage door opener, and it broke by the chain. It's very common, and it broke, right? And I thought, well, that's not so bad. I said I could probably just cut that. And then I was like, well, no, I can't cut it and then shrink it because now the thing will be too tight. So then I had this ingenious idea that I was thinking, well, I'll put an extension on there to get it right. I spent so much stinking time on this. And then I was like, I already was into it and I was committed. And I forget what I did. I feel like I went and got a chain. And for whatever reason, that chain and cable still was not right? Because there's like different makes and models a little bit with the Chamberlain over the years. And you guys all know how it is, right? When you've done an opener and it doesn't like hit the back hangs in the same spot, and you're like, the housing must be different, even though it could be the same manufacturer, Chamberlain, LiftMaster. You're like, oh, that's weird. The other one was right in the middle of the holes. This one's towards the end. Well, it must be cost savings. And so I remember I did that. I went and got it, the chain / cable. And like I said, I'm committed to this thing now. And it was just fighting me tooth and nail. I remember I think I had to cut the chain to make it still work. And then it was like, I had to make sure there was enough travel so that the cable didn't get sucked into the front nose. And I was like, I will never, ever, if the cable breaks where it connects to the chain, I'm out. You need a whole new opener. That's the only one time I remember, because I don't think I've ever had front pulleys break unless I did it. They over traveled. Gear kits was just a given. I don't think I ever had any travelers go bad on me, the mechanical travelers. Light covers, those fall and shatter. Light bulb sockets were pretty known. Can't think of nothing really, but I remember that cable, man. That cable and that chain, boy, that spanked me. I was committed. And then, you know how you're just in it, where I should have just like halfway through just said, knocked on the door and said, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. This thing is not going to work. We're gonna have to replace this. Because it was a can of worms. 10%. Prayers, he says. Tony says that's the 83650-267. Oh, he says just fixed one Saturday, luckily, because the rail was shortened. Ooh, man, you win. Cheers to that one. What do we got here? Mr. Tony. Tony, is that what rail included? He says check pay. It's 305.16 for the 832 set head, rail, and tax. Probably. It probably is. Probably now I think of it, because I know we can get openers. So if we buy them through Clopay, they are roughly $200 more than what we can get from our other vendor. And that was for that same model. Because I know Cap called that day and he says, man, that's like $200 an opener, cheaper. I was like, I know, but you got to have somebody go out and get them. And, but we'll see. We got the other vendor that Rich B recommended, which we appreciate. And we'll see. We'll just see. We got to do some testing. Got to do some beta testing. Maybe instead Evan says, maybe instead of a new chain, sell a new T-rail. Yeah, maybe. I know some of you guys have talked about, keeping the old, T-rails and stuff like that. But it's complicated, right? Like you typically don't have that kind of stuff. Like you don't carry it, or you got to go to the shop and get used. And you just start realizing you're spending so much time that you're just going, you know what? I could have had an engineered product and everything's new, and I could have installed it and I could feel confident and I could sleep good at night, versus like, what if I didn't pinch my wedge tight enough on that cable? And, or, like I said, it just, one thing leads to another. I just found it's easier just to install a whole new unit. It's kind of like back when I used to, I had this ingenious idea when I was doing garage doors. I thought, wow, the track don't look too bad on this one. It's nice and shiny still. I'm going to leave the track. Well, when you're installing Wayne Dalton and you're dealing with doors that are, basically 3/4 inch thick to an inch and a half, to you just took out a 2 inch thick door, and you don't catch on to that things or onto those things. And you're realizing as you sack the door, going, what in the hell? You go, my weather seal is like, it's an inch away. What's going on? Well, and then when you try to adjust the track, not a problem. I got adjustable track. I got this figured out. And you go, wham. And it goes, fudge. I go, this thing still ain't far enough. And then you're sitting there either drilling the track. And then you realize after you already got the door stacked and you're just going, that was stupid, because now what do? I really need to change the track to the right track that was engineered for it. So, that's why garage doors are very engineered. You know what I mean? Like, you just openers, garage doors, yeah, there's things you can do to fudge and make things kind of work, but it's kind of like that whole thing about cutting track. I'm just going to whack 6 inches out of it. Yeah, well, good luck with that. I'm going to lunch. I'll see you in 2 hours. Included check pay. Let's see here. Tony says, yes, that's with the rail. With rail. Tony, that's the price for buying more than one? I doubt it. Tony says 255 was one or a pallet. This is my supplier called me last week before the increase went up and picked up 20. Yeah, we just bought some for about the same price. I think ours were actually, what did you have? 2 something? Where was it? I feel like it was like 225. We just paid. 255 was one. Yeah, we're right in the same, but we were going to our biggest LiftMaster guy in the state of Michigan, and he gets some, like, even if we were trying to do some playing around. It's weird because, just so you guys know, I didn't know this, but Cap figured this out. But if you buy stuff sometimes from the portal through LiftMaster, it's actually cheaper, and they'll give you a discount at the very end. I think he just did a gate operator. I think it was that one, and it was a $2,000 savings from what our vendor. And our vendor's a big LiftMaster, and I was like, holy cow! I was like, $2,000 cheaper. He's like, yeah. He's like, so that's why I ordered it directly through LiftMaster. I said, wow. So we were playing around with the openers. We still couldn't get the openers past our one vendor on it. Just playing around, curious. But we could definitely get them cheaper than through Clopay. Clopay, but we're not a big dog with Clopay. We're a small fish, so I don't expect any favors. But when Clopay is charging, $200 on top of that same model opener, it's like, yeah, that's a little bit tough. And I think that's why what I've learned, anyways, for myself and on our area, is we are not dependent on certain vendors. I mean, I think what always kind of threw me years ago was when we were dealing with LiftMaster, and I'm sorry, with Wayne Dalton exclusively. And all of a sudden we started hitting a wall. I don't know what happened, but we hit a wall where I was going to these customers, and these customers are coming back and they're going like, you're like $200 higher. And I mean, they're telling me who these guys are. And I'm thinking, man, these guys got like, 3, 6, 7 trucks. They got a building. They got, I'm thinking like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm losing these jobs, and these are like slam dunk, just beautiful little residential jobs that I want to do. And so I'd ask the customer, I said, can I see the quote? And they'd show it to me. And I'm like, yeah, that's their signatures. I mean, that's all their stamping and print work, and it all looks legit. And I'm like, man, this ain't making no sense. And so I ended up calling a different vendor, and I said, hey, can I get a price? And I mean, I'm just a guy walking completely. They don't even know who I am. They gave me a price, and I'm like, that was Amar. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how much? And I'm like, dude, they're like 200, $300 cheaper on a 16 by 7 just hollow pan door. And I'm like, well, this is like a no brainer. Like, obviously, if I get my product cheaper, I can make more profit. And, so I was like, so then, at one point, Wayne Dalton was kind of like, hey, what's going on in your sales? And then they got me down on a lower price thing. But it's just something to think about. I was just listening to, you guys always talk about him. Who was it? The Tommy from the A1 garage door. He was on another podcast, and he was saying that, like right now, he's got such buying power, he can get his product, a lot cheaper than most. Well, heck yeah, why not? I mean, if you can get your product cheaper, that's more profit. I mean, it's the easiest way to, so if you can buy stuff, and especially it's kind of like the whole, you know how it is. Like if I can go to Walmart and I can save, 20 or $40 on an item, it's the same thing. Like Scotty Kimler always says, right? He says the batteries there are better because they get turned over because they're cheaper. Than what you're going to pay more of a premium at AutoZone, and batteries are kind of batteries, to some degree. So I don't know. Tony says $2,500 increased 20, says Tony. Damn, he said, I know, $2,000, dude. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, holy crap. He said he did a job costing. I think he said we're at 60%. I was thinking, I'm sure that $2,000 helped. He said, I didn't give him a discount. He says, I charged accordingly. And I thought, but when I heard that, I just was like, and the thing is the place we would normally, because there's like two different places. We use a different place for gates and fencing and all that. And then there's our one that's the big LiftMaster. And I think he might be selling stuff now too. He's been kind of getting in the gate game. But yeah, and he said it's weird. He says it won't show up till you hit the very end. He says it shows up as a discount. Where it's like if you're just kind of looking, he knows more about it than I do. What's this guy here? Evers God, he says, are you guys set up to be dealer certain doors, or how do you decide what doors to sell? Just all depends on your level. You know what I mean? For us, we've always been Wayne Dalton. And it was our first one. And I think we were originally buying from more of a mob pa shop, our one vendor, and you pay a little bit more. It's nothing normally crazy. They're going to get you for another 20, 40, $60, than what you'd get maybe from your, if you're a, dealer of a certain door. And that's why, like it's really hard to normally beat like the Menards. So you can buy theirs and you can convert springs over if you want to, or just install like the easy set. There's options. You don't have to be beholdeth to a certain vendor. There's options out there, and I wouldn't be afraid to try them out. You know what I mean? Whatever works or what's close to you or what, that's the big thing. And that's why I'm always like, you got to do your research a little bit and see where your vendors are and all that kind of stuff. That's important. You don't want to be driving, in my opinion, 45 minutes is like my max pretty much, or anything longer to go get stuff. And then, oh, you forgot something. You got to go back. Son of a biscuit. If you can just, if you get good service from the stores, the box stores, and go for it. If you got somebody, a mom and pop that treats you good, then go for that too, and check around, get your prices. You know what I mean? If something seems like, wow, that seems kind of high, or they want another $500 than most people, maybe find something else. Rusty says the more employees a company has, he says the lower they can offer. What it says, the lower they can offer a price because they have more man hours to bill per day. He says a lot of people think a small guy should be cheap, but it doesn't math. Yeah. There is some truth to that. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's kind of like, it feels like I've noticed in the business, it's like, sometimes I'm a long distant loser, or I'm on a job that's not doing so good for number wise. And then somebody out there is crushing it. And then there's times it all changes. So you're kind of in this whole ecosystem, and you're making stuff kind of work and mesh. So it definitely helps. I enjoy it because, I would like to think that most of us don't have we don't all have a super like hard job. Like when I was doing it pretty much by myself. Like I was killing myself. Um, long hours, long days, weekends fixing something, cleaning, organizing constantly, where, now we just kind of get to go out and, we basically put our 4 to 6 hours in and we do pretty good. Do 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 do. Says yes, Rusty says yes, every clopay dealer. After to be a dealer, they are gonna want you to sell at least 100 or 300, which is, yeah, I guess. I mean, we're probably at least. I was gonna say we're probably on that low side, but it's kind of weird. What I've noticed is like once you're kind of in, it's like they don't really like as long as you just like pay your bill, or you do COD, you could probably go under there. You could probably be 50 or 80, and it's like they, are not gonna drop you. It's just getting in there, and sometimes they're I'm sure Rusty knows. They're probably what is it? They do a certain range. Rusty, do you know the range that they do for their territory? Because Clopay is more kind of territorial than like let's say like Wayne Dalton. Wayne Dalton will just, you got money in a heartbeat. They'll accept you. Amar's that way. Who else is that way? Safeway's probably that way. Uh, who else? I don't know. I don't know about Raynard. Raynard seems like they're a little more stingy on that stuff too. But what's kind of funny about it is you can go to Menards and get Clopay doors. Basically, they're called Ideal, but they're Clopay. Home Depot has them. So you can pretty much get anything you want. Now, I would say that their damage is kind of up there. You got to be careful about that. But sometimes those places are nice because it's kind of like having a secretary. You can call them, they know, or just work maybe with a lumber yard. It's just so many things I didn't think about when I was so focused that I was like, we got to get a dealer. We got to get a dealer. We got to get, um, and there is some beauty about having stuff delivered to your place. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I remember when I was first starting out, I was out of my house. For some reason, my bedroom window is up really high, but this guy, I don't know if it was the guy or the company always did it, but this dude looked like a ghost, right? He had that weird like the white hair and everything, not gray. He wasn't old. He was same age as me. Um, and but he was always looks like a ghost, right? The pale skin and everything. And the guy would literally show up. It was like between like 4 and 6 a.m. And oh man, I remember like if I knew he was coming, I'd get up super early. But sometimes he'd catch me off guard, or I was really busy the day before, so I'd forget, and I'd be like laying in bed, and I'm a light sleeper, and all of a sudden it'd be like it's like having an emergency vehicle pull up to your house, all of a sudden it's that beep, beep. And I mean, it's like lights are flashing, in my window. And I'm like laying there, Jesus, what the? And you got to like throw your clothes on, and I never wanted him to do it by himself because for one, it's just hard. And for two, you know, uh, I didn't want him to damage the doors, because he would literally like slide them out and then like stack them on that very end of the gate out of a box truck. And sometimes I watched him sometimes and I was thinking, oh my gosh, he's gonna kink the door, And if he does that, I've been waiting for this door. This one's instead of 3 weeks, it was a 6 week order. We had to wait for it. And this customer's been calling me, really wanting their door installed. Doo-doo-doo-doo. So that's another thing, right? Or what could happen too is if you're not around all the time, right? They're gonna want to deliver on their schedule, right? They're gonna do it at 11. They're gonna do it at 1 o'clock. So that's another thing to think about. So sometimes that's why I said, you got to really kind of methodically think about it. And if you guys ever come across something like this, you guys can always email me, text me, say, hey, I'm thinking about this, and I might be able to throw something out there. And you go, ooh, I didn't think about that part. He's right. Yeah, maybe I should still entertain this. Because I think about it now, and most time we don't have somebody there. We're working on making sure somebody's going to be there more often, but um, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Because the guys are out working. I know how it is too. I'd get the phone calls too, and it's like, "Hey, I'm going to be there in 2 hours or whatever." And you're like, "Are you kidding me, dude? Like I'm right in the middle of this job." Okay, we'll get somebody there to help unload or, get it inside, or sometimes they'll put them outside, but normally they don't like doing that. They need a signature or something. Dun, dun, dun. Unless I get something tomorrow. I'm looking forward to catching up on my sleep this weekend. I don't blame you. I get it, man. I totally get that. Sometimes that is super nice. Not having to have that stress, that burden of getting stuff all ready. Evan's probably kind of just like me. It's like your truck's kind of multiverse. So it's like, you don't really want to haul a bunch of stuff around. So you got to like load it, unload it, go through your list. Best thing you do, I can tell you, Evan, is make a list, do it on your phone, do it in your paper sheet, get a list. And then that way, bring that list, so when you go to a job and you go, God darn it, I forgot my ladder. Or maybe you start thinking, I want to bring a broom because I made a mess and they didn't have a broom, or little things, little things. Obviously, you got to kind of pack light, but I've noticed, like I like a light, sometimes I get in dark situations, their lights in their garage are crap, and I gotta have the door down. And knee pad. I like my knee pad, I like my concrete pad, especially I don't like being on my knees like I used to, or bending my foot. That foot that we always bend on, the boot that always got that scrunched up. Yeah. Or your foot, like you go to stand back up and you like do the limp. Oh my gosh, my foot is all cramped up. It says it depends on his area. It says they must be looking for someone else. Dun-dun-dun-dun. That's how I ended up using. I ended up using Deer Camp. That's how I did it. We couldn't do our area, so I did Deer Camp. Got in, and they made maybe one delivery. And then I said, "Hey, I need the deliveries down here," and they did that. Now, actually, we must have been on their good terms, because now we actually get to deal with the big. We're not way up north. The dealer up there, we're dealing with somebody more close. So I don't know, or they're just trying to, seems like once they kind of get you, they kind of want you to buy more, right? They always want you to do more. What can we do to get you to buy more so we can get more commission? You know. Dun, 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 ever after. Unless I get paid. Let's see. Depends. Evan says in Canada, we only get Ideal Hardware on Home Depot sells Clopay. Just do the one-stop shop. Service Spring, get it all. Yeah. 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 I mean, Service Spring can hook you up. I did talk to a guy. I'm not going to mention anybody. I did talk to a guy, and he was talking about, he said that Service Spring did seem to have some higher prices. He was not real thrilled with them. I think if you're obviously starting out, it's a must, because they have everything, one-stop shop. I would agree. But like with the doors and stuff like that, you got to find kind of who works for you the best. If we want to do the box stores, and they, or you can find somebody local, or you're okay with paying the price or whatever you're getting from a dealer. Because it is tough once you start kind of getting rolling. It's tough to, you need stuff coming in. You know what I mean? You need some rollers, and you need some hinges, and you need some bearings. You need stuff coming to you. And that stuff that you normally can't go down to the Ace Hardware and get. Depends on area. What does it say? Depends on area. Did I miss one in Canada? We only get, oh yes, here it is. Just do the one stop. Rusty, I'm headed back to the shop to get stuff ready for tomorrow and get gas. He says, I love working. He says, nobody is forcing me. I don't blame you. Sometimes I like meditating, turn the music up or something a little bit and just kind of get what you got to get going. I should tell you, Rusty, and the rest of you guys, I had a buddy, right? He was up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and negative 11 degrees, right? He was up there doing a snowmobile race or something. Truck froze up. The deaf. He's got a Duramax. I don't know what year it is. I want to say, gosh, it's probably a 20, somewhere in there. Def froze up on him, had torpedo heater under there. I don't know exactly the whole story, but let's just say his truck had to come back on a trailer for a 6-mile or 6-hour haul one way. And another person had to go up there and grab a snowmobile trailer. So gas for the win, right? Diesel for the lose, especially -11. And I seen it at the shop. I had to drop another vehicle off, and I seen it was at the shop, the repair shop. So good luck. And like I said, what is it, 10? Probably give her just a few more minutes here and jump off myself. Only way to have a 2-man operation is to do the work of 7 people before I get old like you guys. Yeah. You just gotta let go. Just let go. Got just to bring those prices up just a little bit more. Just it can be done. It can be done. Evans should look at getting a folding table for my opener installs. Absolutely. So Rich actually, he put on here, he actually likes his the 2x6 table is nice. That's a little bit on the bulky side for me. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I mean, and I got a lot of I think mine are, what are mine? Like the 2x4s, the card tables they call them. But I'd honestly like to carry 2 of them. Because I would like a little more room. So I mean, you can go the 2x6, which is not a bad option. It's just to me, it's a little bit on the heavy. It's a little bit bulky for some of my situations. But if I can do 2 slim 2x, but you got to at least have one. Got to have one. Because what I'll always do is I always set my opener, all my parts and everything on that, and then the rail goes on I normally have a 4-foot ladder that extends out to, and then I build everything because, man, bending over gets old and just, yeah. But I've been noticing on more like the commercial jobs, I like to have my tools that we're using elevated, power tools and that. And I kind of like to have one separate table. So it's like, hey, just put everything over on there versus like, it seems like every time you're setting your impact down, right, they always like fall. And then parts, when they get jostled, they'll fall on the floor or whatever. So one's for power tools, one's for hardware is what I've been thinking. Looking at getting a folding. Says 2x something. Blackberry. Holy cow. Where you been? All my battery power tools are Ryobi. The Ryobis work pretty good. My Milwaukees have not been doing me too well lately. I cannot believe how much harder they get hit in the winter. The cold. They just seem like they're just puking out on me. Your back and knees will thank you. Oh, yes. And sawhorses, right? Sawhorses for those garage doors. You set those on there so you can put them together. Josh down there in Indiana, man, he's doing it like on the floor, man. He works so efficiently. He wants to do them on the floor. I'm like, dude, he's built like a tank, man. He's like the army guy. I'm like, dude, I can't do that crap. Like, you got to elevate that stuff. It's going to be freezing here next week. He says it's supposed to be -31 Celsius. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think we're getting down to like just 11 tonight in Fahrenheit. So I know that's not as bad, but that cold, man, it's just killing them. And then if they're sitting out, that's always been a problem with some of those power tools. They sit on those really, really cold, especially in a service vehicle. Oh, the next day can be a little more challenging, let's just say. All right, guys, it looks like we've caught up. I thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate the 11 likes. I hope you guys have a great Friday. And I also hope maybe we'll get to see you guys Saturday or Sunday. We'll see how the dice roll out. If you guys got any questions, please feel free to email me. It's been quiet. I've been so lonely. And, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them or get back. And if you have sent me something and I haven't responded, send it again because sometimes I do miss things. And you're more welcome. And we'll go from there. Otherwise, Blackberry says cheers. That's right. Cheers. Let's get the cheers going. That's right. I'm going to see if I can get a little sleepy sleep. Says he must be young. Evan next week. He says, I'll be heading to Florida. Ooh, god darn it. Come on, Tony. You got room for me? I don't take up that much space, dude. I'll even ride in the trunk. You need to brag. Garage door service, right? Will do. That's right. Check out Garage Door. Got Evan too. Don't forget Evan's Garage Door Service and Tony's, Papa Tony's Garage Door Service. It's all good stuff. We're either there or here or somewhere around, right? Says I'll be doing live. This is be doing an opener install. When are you doing that, Tony? When are you doing that? Not tonight, I assume. I'll be doing a live. This is be doing an opener. Is that tomorrow? Is that tomorrow, Mr. Tony? Tomorrow for the install on the Friday. Say y'all Saturday. Ooh, look at Evan. He said he might have company. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Oh, in Florida? God damn, I'm not watching that crap. I ain't gonna see that warm weather. We're done, Tony. We're done. All right, guys. We'll see you. Thanks for being here. Make sure you keep your fingers. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.